Change is here.
The country is shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Good morning and a warm welcome to KBC News Check on this Tuesday morning. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. My name is Bentro Enjoy. Lucy Moura will be a sign language interpreter for this live news show, and for the next 2 hours or so we will be keeping tabs with what is happening in the country and what has been happening in the last couple of weeks. Talk about the new deputy president that we have, and remember we have an executive order number 2 of 2023 that was signed by President William Ruto in regards to the roles and the duties of the deputy president. We will be looking at that in depth. We'll also be looking at the United States elections. This is why they always shape up our foreign policy in regards to how we do things and trade with other partners, and especially the United States. We'll also be looking at the new political formations that we do expect after the little shakeup that we have had in the last couple of weeks. We'll also be looking at counties. Counties say they are cash crunched, and they want the national government to give them the equitable revenue share. But we can also get something from there. We can also be looking at the county's own source revenue. Other than that, the KCPE examination that commenced yesterday continued today. We also be touching on that and also be looking at the news shaping up the conversation at this hour. Many thanks for joining us. Allow me now to introduce my panel of experts, beginning from my immediate left. We have Dr. Churchill Saoke. Dr. Saoke is a leadership and governance expert, and he is also a lecturer at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Just next to him, we have another doctor. He's Dr. Harun Isaac Hassan. Daktari is also a political analyst and also a governance expert. Next to him, we have Sami Kipkemboi Meli. Sami is also a political analyst. Gentlemen, good morning and karibuni sana.
Asante. Good morning.
Well, we'll be looking at how the new political formations will be at the moment. But you do remember on Friday, we were with the engineer Wathimba, another governance expert, and we followed keenly how things unfolded from the courts. And now on Friday we swore in our third deputy president under the 2010 constitutional dispensation. And I'll just ask my director Mugo Kariuki to also look at some slides we had prepared in regards to what exactly the president did. If you remember, the current president was the deputy president to President Uhuru Kenyatta, and after their fallout, actually, it's more or less like he, as a deputy, he did not really have duties. But the president signed an executive order number 2 of 2023 outlining that. And that was done last year, where the president, in regards to the constitution, the deputizes the president in execution of his functions in accordance to Article 147 of the Constitution. Allow us not to go to the Article 147 of the Constitution at the moment. We did see that even the impeached deputy was actually chairing cabinet committees. This is one of the roles that also are quite instrumental in regards to the deputy president, and also oversees the implementation of cabinet decisions across all ministries and state departments. And the impeached deputy, we do remember some of the leaders arguing that he has been sabotaging government projects, and indeed that was one of the 11 counts that he had at the Senate and at the National Assembly. His fourth role was to coordinate intergovernmental relations between national government and county governments, including chairing the Intergovernmental Budget Economic Council, the famous IBEC. This is also another quite instrumental role in regards to how the counties work hand in hand. We talk about 47 counties in the country, but we talk about 48 county governments in regards to the 47 counties and the national governments as well. Another role is a liaison with the constitutional commissions and independent offices in matters that require intervention by the national government, or which he deputizes, including on budgets, policy formulation, and implementations of the recommendations. Another role of the Deputy President, as enshrined in the Executive Order number 2, a sixth role regards to this order, was to coordinate the planning and supervise the implementation of development partners funded programs and projects. And that is why I say that we will be talking about the US election, because our foreign policy also speaks volumes in regards to our development partners and also funded programs in the country, which we have many. The seventh role was to oversee public sector reforms, and the last but not least, any other function as may be assigned by the President. Gentlemen, those are some of the roles that the head of state, that is President William Ruto, signed in his Executive Order number 2 last year. And many have talked about the Deputy President role or the Vice President role being jinxed. We are now having 13 Deputy Presidents and Vice Presidents since we gained independence in 1963. And maybe we can have a quick look on how we got here, and also how many we've had, and who are some of these Vice President and Deputy President that we've had since independence. Well, we started out the outset since we became a republic, that is on 12 December 1964. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was the first Vice President, of course, under KANU. The second one was Joseph Murumbi, who only served for 3 months, that is 120 days, and they had, of course, a fallout as well. Daniel Arap Moi, who later on became the president for 24 years, was the vice president from 5th of January 1967 to the 22nd of August 1978. That is a total of 11 years cumulatively, and almost 12 years under the ruling party KANU back then. Another vice president who also became the president was Mwai Kibaki, who was a vice president for 9 years, from 1978 to 1988. Next, we had one of also the shortest serving vice president back then, that was Josephat Karanja, who also had some jitters, impeachment jitters, and he opted to resign. He was a vice president for only 1 year and 38 days. Next is Professor George Saitoti, who also was the deputy president from May of 89 to 98, a total of 8 years. Of course, they were on and off with President Moi, gentlemen, if you remember, but he always found his way as a second in command. And the president back then, I remember, he stayed almost for 2 years at the country without a DP. Yes. But we'll also be talking about that, because also the court said that that position under the constitution dispensation cannot remain vacant. Then we had also another short-serving vice president of Kenya, who happens to be the prime cabinet secretary at the moment, that is Musalia Mudavadi, who was our vice president for only 60 days in the run-up to the 2002 general election. Next was Michael Kijana Wamalwa, who died in office after serving a total of 232 days. If you notice, the first 7 vice presidents we've had all were under the ruling party back then, that is KANU. Then Michael Kijana Wamalwa came in with NAC, if you guys can remember, and unfortunately, after he passed on, President Mwai Kibaki back then appointed Mudi Awori to serve for the remainder of the year, that is 4 years and about 100 days. The 10th vice president that we had, you can have the next slide, that is Kalonzo Musyoka. He is the Wiper Democratic Movement party leader, and he was in office for 5 years. We do remember what happened after the 2007 post-election violence. Now the next three are all under the 2010 constitutional dispensation. We begin with our current president, who was the deputy president beginning 2013 to 2022, a total of 9 years and 157 days. He was under the Jubilee ticket. And after that, we had the just impeached Deputy President, that is Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua Origi, who served for a total of 2 years and 48 days under the United Democratic Alliance. And the one that we have is about 5 days, less than a week, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
About a week now. Abraham Kithure Kindiki, who is our current Deputy President, who was sworn in on the 1st of November 2024, was nominated, and his name was passed by Parliament. That is the journey that we've had, some rocky patches here and there, but either way, the constitution that we have right now does not permit that position to remain vacant. That was alluded to by a 3-judge bench who ruled that on the last day of October 2024. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Asante.
The head of state had some really strong words during the swearing in on Friday. Daktari, I'll start with you. And he said that this is now, it's all hands on deck, something that he had missed for the last 2 years. Just spells out how lonely he felt. I'd like to pick your mind in regards to the new task that is ahead of our new Deputy President, Abraham Kithure Kindiki.
Well, those were pretty, as you have mentioned, and thanks, Ben. Those are strong words, as the President had used, about the expression of loneliness in leadership. And the details around that, he best will be able to explain. Sometimes it can be very lonely in the corner office, and the need to have people who support you in advancing the aspirations of the country as a president is very important. And maybe this could have been some of the things that may have informed the idea of the need for him to have the changes within the executive, and especially at the portfolio of the DPs. And specifically, I say this because the position of the Deputy President is pretty a position that really needs a lot of balance, because you are a principal assistant, and that means that you need to be careful in the moderation of the pursuit of your political ambitions, and also helping your boss to achieve his goals. If you do not balance, you will end up conflicting with the boss's interests. And I think that these are some of the things that many of the vice presidents, especially who have come after the 2010 constitution, have faced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at somebody said that the vice president cares, but somebody said as well that one of the issues that we are finding our president and deputies having issues since time immemorial, since when Jaramogi was the first vice president, is because the vice presidents always harbor a political interest to take over the top seat. We've seen that in the last government. We've seen that in when we still had the old constitution, but this time round things look like it could be different, because Abraham Kithure Kindiki, I remember in 2022, he was mooted. His name was mooted by almost all the MPs that were on the deputy president back then, who is the president side. But do you believe it's more or less harboring political interests that always bring issues when it comes to this position, Dr.?
I think the important thing we must understand is the structure of our political landscape gives us a way that every person who holds any top executive offices will be eyeing political seats. That has been the formation of how our political architecture has been. Beside that, if you look at keenly, the former vice president was a politician and had to be a member of parliament then. And for you to be a member of parliament, for you to be a vice president, you must be a member of parliament. And that itself means then that you are a politician who is now scaling up to a position of the executive. And that's why we had our ministers, including the president, coming from political backyard, where they held a constitution, a constituencies that must be named after them. And you remember many people used to say that if you don't, during Moi and Kibaki's time, if you don't secure your constituency seat, then even if you have bidded for presidency, you will never become the president. That indicates that the structure of all our executive lineups are politically, excited or are politically formed from the grassroots level. But when we came to the 2010 Constitution, things slightly changed. I wish they would have changed also the deputy positions being out of politics, because if you go through a political process that is being elected into a position, then you cannot separate yourself from politics, and that you should always think of what next in that political ladder. And that's why you see everyone who comes in will feel like he wants to become the next president. He will want to become the next. Nobody will want actually to become. Nobody wants to become a cabinet secretary until when everybody has got his seats, and perhaps you have lost your seat, or you never had somewhere to compete because of one reason or another, and then you go into now at the mercy or the umbrella of the politicians who have secured their seats or the executive for you to be part of that particular government. And that is why politics plays a role when we are appointing or selecting our executive. Mm-hmm. Having said that, the difference between the former impeached deputy president and the current deputy president is that Rigathi Gachagua, having been elected and shown clearly that he was able to secure votes for the president from the mountain region, I guess not the whole mountain, but according to his claim, the region of the mountain, that gave him a lot of confidence in that he thought now he's a shareholder, and that's the thing he has came out with. Contrary to the way the structure and the constitution is in holding the executive offices, once you have been elected as a president and a running mate as a deputy president, the moment you assume the office, that's why you have to swear in almost 3 oaths differently. One is loyalty to your boss, that's the deputy president, the president himself, the constitution, to the oath of office, where you are supposed to be doing the government executive work. So the reason as to why all those oaths are significant is to divert you away from that political menace that you went through during the time of the election, then coming out to now a role that is governed by the constitution and principles of the organizational policy, where I mean, every institution has a framework of guidance that will lead you to follow in order for you to execute the specific roles that are there. If you sit in why the president was very lonely, we may just flash it back a bit, mm-hmm. is that why the president was very lonely is that because the president had a deputy or a principal assistant who is supposed to be sharing committees of the cabinet. And therefore, if he has failed in fulfilling that particular role, meaning then the president is forced. By constitution, no one else can share. If it's not the president, then it is the deputy president who has been mandated to do that. So if the president, the deputy president is not there, and the president has a huge ballooned diary, then that means part of his work was not delivered, which in essence was delegated to the deputy president. Coming to the current deputy president, I think Professor Abraham Kidure Kindiki is someone who is known to be loyal in terms of when he is in certain office. If you look at keenly his role in national duties, you will realize that when he was the leader of the majority in the Senate, it's only the only time that his the deputy president, whom he was an ally to, decided to move away from the government. And when certain motions were brought to Senate to go against his so-called friend then as the deputy president, then he couldn't entertain that. That means regardless of whatever force the executive were imposing on him, he said, this is the way to go and I will not want to be disloyal. And that way then he was pulled out of his office and replaced by someone else. But only that occasion that probably one will say he has ever left his office without completing his term. But the record he has shown when he was given the interior docket in terms of the police reforms, in terms of bringing a bit of sanity into the system of our security organs, has clearly boosted his, his mandate as a performer within the sector. He is the only cabinet secretary known to have put on a jungle uniform and gone into the battlefield in northern region of the country, where he defined it as disturbing areas. So it's not all the cabinet secretaries that we used to know could do that. They could operate from the desks and try to mandate other uniformed officers to go and do the work. But you know, when the main person, the leader, after executing all his responsibilities in terms of the policy formulation, and then he goes into the front line to go and also participate in ensuring that the safety and security of Kenya is also addressed, then I think he is a performer. And we expect probably that as he now finishes up his role in the executive as the second in command, I think Kenyans will going to benefit much. However, let's not forget one thing. He is also now a potential candidate for the next
for the big seat.
For the big seat as the president.
Mbeli, I'm looking at the constitution process and also the court process. I remember a section of Kenyans were unhappy on how things have been have unfolded quite fast, talking about lightning speed. But they also need to appreciate the fact that these constitutional moments are there and they are enshrined in the constitution. Why I'm saying this is because you do remember that when President Moi stayed for almost 2 years, I think it was 18 months, without a vice president. And we are looking at the court saying under this new, the constitution, it's 14 years now, the constitution dispensation does not allow for the office of the deputy president to remain vacant.
Thank you, Troy, for having me. First, I said that before in our last discussion, that once the deputy president had been impeached, that means there was no deputy president. And therefore, the action should have moved very fast to the next house. For example, it moved from the National Assembly. Within no time, it is at the Senate. And then once the Senate made their decision, the gazettement, and then the other processes began. I said our leadership has shown first that they can do things when they want to do them fast for us. Going back to the deputy president who was impeached, One is that he lacked loyalty. And going to your earlier question about the president feeling lonely, if you can flash back President Ruto, when he was a deputy president, he was carrying the government on his shoulders. In fact, most of the promises were made by him more than what President Uhuru Kenyatta did. So you could feel the government with him. Whenever he would move, you would feel the government. Unfortunately, that oomph was not there when Rigathi was moving around. He would concentrate around the mountain, the Murima. So, and I think every other time he would speak, there was something that was being created in the minds of Kenyans. Actually, his speeches were more of insightful than uniting. And looking at the Constitution, I would hear Abrake. I know now he has a new name. We no longer have Rigiji, we have now Abrake. When he saw the three oaths, you could feel the words of those oaths that the holder of that office needs to stand by that. And being the deputy president's office is a jinxed office in that you are deputizing somebody. It's not your government yourself. It's somebody's government. So you are deputizing it. And you must sing their song if that government has to be successful. Otherwise, if you sing another song, you would bring division in the house, and as the sayers say that a house divided cannot stand, and I think the president saw it ahead of time. The legislature saw it, and even judiciary agreed with the decisions. So coming back to your question, over the years, this office and our judiciary, our executive, our legislature has shown us when it comes to people-centered issues, they take so long. I'm told even in the office of the speaker, there are a backlog of bills that have not been passed. In fact, the impeached deputy president was saying, in case they have shown that they can do this very fast, then the coffee bill should come very fast. But there are issues, the timelines that were given by the Constitution, the 7 days, the 14 days, the 60 days. And I was looking at this like a doctor, for example. You have a patient. Your schedule is saying that this patient, we need to operate on them in 6 hours. You have done the necessary arrangement, and then you realize that this was just a 30-minute operation. Do you stick to 6 hours, or you just finish in 30 minutes? You just finish in 30 minutes. The Senate is within the premise of the parliament buildings. Just a walk from the other speaker's office to this other speaker's office. The government printer is just across the road. So I don't think that will take days for us to have a gazette notice or anything to be prepared. So that speed was actually good, and I wish they are certain in that. Coming to the new deputy president, remember he was the attorney for the president then at The Hague. And their argument at The Hague, you saw how they stood with the president, and I think he won the heart of the president at that time. If you look at the duties that he was given when he was the Minister of Interior, the guns are silent in the valleys. The backlog that was there on passports in Nyayo House. I was passing there this morning. I had a chance to walk around the Nyayo House. There are no long lines anymore. There is organization. If you are coming to apply for a passport, this is the side you enter. If you are picking a passport, you go to the other side and wait. Even I could see the NYS assisting in the dispatchment of those passports. And you could hear that there is no longer any backlog in passport preparation. They even give a priority for urgent passports, and that is good. So it shows that he is somebody, when given a duty, he can do it and do it well. Vis-a-vis the other, there's a sharp contrast in the two people. I could hear the speeches. For example, I want to put myself in a position of a DCC, being lectured, being told some words that you cannot say before children, being said to you in public, and the media could capture that. And this is your deputy. Just imagine, ask yourself, are you even comfortable? You don't know what next would come from their mouth. And remember, right now, we have a doctor as the president and a professor as a deputy president. What a nice time to be in Kenya. So I'm looking forward to him pushing the other cabinet secretary. Now he's chairing IBEC. We are looking forward to having money going to counties. The 20 billion that there was a dispute, I am sure being an educationist, as he is a lawyer by profession, he would be able to mediate that and remove that the disagreement between the national government and the county government. He should be able also to push the other cabinet secretaries to deliver on the mandate, the plan. Now he has a bigger constituency. It's no longer the interior ministry. Now he has a bigger constituency where he chairs even cabinet subcommittees to make sure that that plan that they were talking about, the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, should be fully implemented as it was said. We don't want to hear the president alone talking about that. He should push even the other people, the other holders of those dockets, to keep saying. You could hear some people. I would watch another interview last week. The person in charge of that docket cannot fully explain what is happening, and the people would ask themselves, a whole PS cannot explain to us the government policy, how it is going to be implemented. I wonder, why do they sit in those offices? How would you run a program which you have no feel of it? You should own the program. Look, interrogate every other thing. Learn it, then disseminate it. I would look at the president himself, the way he would talk on issues. And the other time he was warning the cabinet secretary that if I know more in your docket than you know it, then there's a problem. And actually he meant it. And if we give President William Ruto time, if we give him time, ample time to implement the policies that they have, I'm sure he will make a very big difference in this country. Look at when they were being sworn in, they said that the coffers were empty. And I hope now the coffers are there. You are looking at Kenya Airways making profits for the first time in so many years.
Okay.
You could...
Yes, and we're going to look at now the political side of all this, and that is what I want us to canvass. Because, Daktari, I'm looking at the fallout. Let's begin with way back, the fallout of President Moi back then, and his vice president, that is George Saitoti. He decamped and they formed the Rainbow Coalition in 2002. I'm looking at in 2017, after the 2017 election, after the fallout of the President Uhuru and now the President Ruto, gave birth to UDA. Indeed, a section of Kenyans also are not quite comfortable with this new arrangement, and there are going to be political alignments. Why I'm saying this, we have seen also as early as yesterday, DAPK or DAPK and also Wiper, they want to exit Azimio. And of course, they are going to be, the DP shake-up is also going to shake up the politics of this country. How do you think the political realignments are going to form?
I think that is pretty expected because, you know, as my colleagues have mentioned, people get into politics with the ultimate goal of going to the higher office. Everybody who gets into any political office, right from the MCA level, your ultimate goal is that one day you can be the President of the Republic of Kenya. And they have a right to have that vision. They have a right to aspire to the highest level of their dreams. And that's why, as a country, we should be able to create level playing field where everybody can achieve whatever they dream. So in all through these fallouts, we have actually been seeing the idea that everybody dreams to become the number one of the country. And, you know, those are some of the things that brought in even the fallout between, you know, Saitoti and Moi, because the people within KANU that time felt that, you know, being in KANU was not good enough for them to ascend to power. And I think the same thing was also with the current president and the former president. It was better for them to lobby when they are outside or when they are opposing the government. And, you know, sometimes in politics it's much easier to accumulate political capital and woo the public by purporting to oppose the establishment. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one of the easiest ways that kingmakers have arisen. Mm-hmm. And so even at this time, the realignments and the reshaping of the political environment is likely to take similar forms. There are people who are certain political players are likely to take advantage of the discontent of certain sections of Kenyans, and purport or come out as the saviors of these, you know, or as the purported leaders of these discontent sections of the republic, and with the aim of them being the leaders of that. Being the leaders of that political segment, and then using it to establish a political movement that then can be able to be used to advance a political course against the current this current regime. And so, you know, when you look at Azimio, the Azimio leaders, you know, the Wiper and the DAP Kenya, were trying to exit. From Azimio. The idea is that how can we be able to position ourselves to win over the hearts of the people who are not happy with the ouster of the former DP and the appointment of the current DP? How can we be able to win? What position can we be able to create to win over their hearts? And one of the easiest ways is distance yourself from a political formation that appears to support this current establishment, or that appears to support the broad-based government. And then you use that to position yourself as the savior or as the defender of the discontent population. In that so doing, you are going to inherit. And the idea is that many of the bigger political players, you know, DAP Kenya and Wiper, they are seeking to position themselves to inherit the sympathies of the former DP. And so whatever move they are making in the chessboard is to ensure that how can we be able to get this sympathy vote and use it to create an opposing political formation against the current regime in 2027. So I think for me that is what is really at play, and of course the government will also want to seek ways of survival, and by ensuring that how do we then solidify our current political establishment to counter any. So some of the other things that you might likely to see are possibilities of, you know, the regime looking for ways to get inroads into the sympathy vote, so that there could be divisions within those who are sympathizers of the former deputy president, with the aim of ensuring that it is not a solid bloc as it is perceived.
And Doc, maybe we have a court case, that is, the former deputy president has a court case, or he's going to explore all the avenues in the corridors of justice. But as it stands, he cannot hold public office, I think, for the next 10 years. Can he reinvent himself? And looking at the political alignments that are slowly but surely gaining pace, can he reinvent himself politically?
Yes, before I respond to that, there's a point that my colleague has mentioned in regards to how effective and efficient the process was in ousting out the deputy president. And you know, as much as political processes are never clean and they are never justifiable, because they can happen in any form, the process, gazettement of the process at night, ensuring clearance has been got from relevant authorities within night, I think those are things that are questionable, because there was no logical reason not to wait for the morning sign to come, so that the normal process when people are in the office, that process can be completed. And in any case, there were no also courts which were open at night, and our courts usually start at 9 o'clock. So at night, we don't have also courts. So if we were fearing that someone will rush to court and bring a court order, that was not also visible, because from 8 o'clock you can do all the work that you did at night. So I think sometimes efficiency that is not ordinary. You know, there is ordinary efficiency and there is extraordinary efficiency. This was, I'll refer it as an extraordinary efficiency that our parliamentarians as well as our executive has portrayed and told Kenyans that indeed they can do work like that. If that is what our parliamentarians and our executive can do, then can they replicate that to the service provision to Kenyans so that it becomes very efficient? Because if a letter comes to my desk, I sign it immediately and dispose it off to where it is supposed to go. Take to a letter to one of the government officers. That letter, I don't know why it is necessary for it to be on that table for a while, a day or two or a month, or even sometimes 6 months, before an individual who is seated there every day, and his main mandate is to make sure that anything in this office is effectively addressed so that they can become useful in where they are supposed to action it. So efficiency should be something that must be portrayed in all avenues where we provide services in this nation. All right. So that is one. Now, in terms of Rigiji, or rather the former deputy president, impeached, because for him he has gone with another title. He must be impeached, the former vice president impeached. According to our constitution, once you are impeached, you remain impeached. It's a title you earn, basically, until the 10 years ends, is when probably you become useful. So as you rightfully said, he will not be able to execute any services in this nation, both political office and executive. Meaning then, in the current court battle, the court will never address political process. And that is why it was so easy for the current deputy to be sworn in and take up his role. What they are trying to fight for at the moment, which will have been something they will have fought for as early as when the case was transferred to the Senate and before the proceedings of Senate started, Rigathi Gachagua will have been bold and be a man to just resign from that position and go on the other side to fight for this nation if he is a patriotic in terms of, a political heavyweight.
But I don't think that could have gone well with these supporters, just throwing in the towel and...
Now, that is very true. You know, sometimes you swallow your ego. That is ego, actually. Why? You can only be useful to your supporters when you can represent them. If you can't represent them, who will going to listen to you? Imagine with the time, people will be told, Rigathi was rejected by the system, and therefore a rejected person cannot represent you. What will happen? Kimani Ichung'wah will say that in a rally, and everybody will going to buy that because he is no longer useful in terms of the political landscape as well as representing in the executive. So he can't hold any office. So if you are redundant now, do I call it redundant, or you have, you are nothing. And therefore, it would have been good for him not to waste a lot of resources in the corridors of justice and exit and then fight from the other side. Now that has not happened. What proof does he have that actually the courts will going to do a postmortem of the process that he has been removed out with and prove that this process was not right? I don't think. Actually, one thing that people are talking about and they are tabling it, you know, our legal team are usually, they never tell you this is wrong.
Yes.
They always tell you this is right, we can do it.
They were actually, the lawyers, they have a way of just keeping the case going and going and going.
But let me tell you one thing. There is no way that a political process can be re-audited. The way that you cannot interfere with the outcome of a political process is the same way that even if you audit their process, on what benchmark are you using to audit that? If it was not a political process, Rigathi Gachagua was removed unofficially and through unjust from the office. Why? The Mutise who has taken the motion there to remove him, the bill, the person who sponsored the bill, we so-called Mutise, did not prove all the things that he mentioned or the accusation that he caused. Did that hold any water? That he did not prove to Senate and therefore the case should be returned back and he goes and look for more case that can be justified? No. It was just a political process and it was a ticking box process. And therefore they did that and Rigathi was removed. So even if the courts do post-mortem of all the processes that has been taken through in ousting out Rigathi from the office, the bottom line is that this was a political process and a political process cannot be audited or reversed in its nature. Even if now today they say the process they have taken was unconstitutional, what will be the outcome? Nothing.
Maybe
so
you can have
the impeachment. Will they change the impeachment?
10 years
No. Will they change the
No.
impeachment?
No,
So the
not at all.
impeachment is the one which subjected him to the 10 years, not the process. And therefore, I think it is important for Kenyans to understand that as much as they will want to clean up themselves in terms of thinking that the process was not constitutional, still the impeachment cannot be overturned. So long as the impeachment cannot be overturned, then you remain impeached and you are subjected to the 10 years without any leave. So if you think that you are going to have a better chance, then use other methods. But I think my advice for him would have been, and I did when the process was going on in most of our media houses, that the best thing is that sometimes you don't fight up to the end to destroy yourself. You fight to the certain limit, and once you see you are defeated, you fall back and say that indeed looks like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. On that note, I think the best time for me to bolt out is this time, to minimize, even military, when they go, when you're in the forefront and you see that the opponents are progressing more rapidly than yourself and you are not able to maintain them, to minimize your casualty, you withdraw very fast so that you strategize yourself. So Rigiji would have done that, but senior counsels who wanted to show off a bit that they are able to demonstrate to Kenyans that the process of impeachment was fraud, then I think they didn't help him. They touched him in the forest. Therefore, he has gone back to the mountain.
Do you share his sentiments in regards to that? And is there an opportunity for him to reinvent himself? Let's be very honest. He's talked about the famous Mrima for the last couple of months. And let's face facts. He still holds a lot of influence in the Mount Kenya region.
Now, to crown what the Daktari has said is, there is one adage that says an experienced dancer knows when to leave the stage. And I quoted last week and I said one thing. If you want experienced lawyers, go with Rigiji's lawyers. But if you want good advisors, don't pick his friends. His friends let him down. Unfortunately, again, his lawyers let him down. They didn't advise him at the right time to leave the stage. 30 cases and you are losing all of them. You hit you are missing. You hit, you are missing. At the 30th case, you should have known when to stand down and say no. Now I can have a time to fight another day. Unfortunately, he waited until the last minute. Everything was dispensed. Now he has been rendered useless for the next 10 years. Kenyan politics is local. And local politics mean that you must be able to represent the people. You must get a stage to represent these people. I'm telling you, by the time we finish next year, his local member of parliament will be more famous than him. Because people will forget you. Just imagine, for example, the former vice president, Mudi Awori, coming into political scene at the moment. The Gen Z don't know him. They will not even remember what he did. So Kenyans forget over time, and Kenyans adopt new things with time. They keep on moving with the trend of that day. Last week and for the last 1 month, Rigiji was trending. Now the curve has reached climax. Now it is going anti-climax downwards. He has reached a point of diminished returns. So right now, even his support is now coming downwards slowly because other leaders are taking the stage. Number two, once he realized that I had a difference with the president, one, he should know the person he was competing with. President William Ruto does not give up easily. He isn't a person, he fights to the end. If he has started something, he must finish it. Look at how he started the affordable housing. It has come down our throats, and now we are swallowing the bitter pill of our resistance. He has said this goes to the end. So the same thing, if he was the one championing his removal, it had to go. So, and perhaps he had done enough research. And being a political process, 5 counts out of 11, if he was to be cleared even by the courts today, the courts cannot clear all the 11. They only needed 1 count out of the 11. So Mutuse did his, Honorable Mutuse did his homework well. He said, I'll come with as many as possible. Just the way you go hunting with 100 dogs. If you go hunting with 100 dogs, you might come with an animal home. But if you go hunting with 1 dog, the animal might eat that 1 dog, and you come back, even yourself will be consumed. So being a political process, you just needed to hate Rigiji enough and spread that hate to the others. Infect the other members of parliament with the hate. And once they hate you enough, they just needed to vote. There was no even proving of those allegations. The senators, you could hear them. They are, in all the 5 counts, they were above 40 in the voting, above 45 in the voting on the 5 counts. That means there was enough. And I was saying, us who are watching the TVs and the media, we didn't have the benefit of the documentation. They had the benefit of the documentation, which I'm told they were voluminous. And therefore, not all the volumes were inspected. But for the members of parliament and the senators, they were able to look at what was on the table, what was being investigated. And now, is there a future for Rigiji? Perhaps Rigiji can take a sabbatical leave. He needs to heal. He needs guidance and counseling at the moment.
So you say he in the next 1 year he will not be holding as much power as he has been saying, mtu wa mlima. He will not be holding that voice
unless there is any other miracle that will come. And I said, Kenyan politics is local. As long as you are at the national level discussing national issues, you are relevant. If you are just going to charge services and getting the microphone, the benefit of the microphone, well and good. But you cannot influence the Kenyan thinking. The Kenyan thinking is mostly on representation. What can you effect to them with the opposition you have at that moment? So in the next few months, don't give him even a year, in the next few months, the anticlimax would have reached the level of the axis, the x-axis, and therefore he would operate at that point until he reinvents himself.
All right.
The likes of the Wiper and DAPK, they want to bring Rigiji in And that is the option. And perhaps I've heard rumors that Rigiji is coming with a political party. Perhaps that is what they are coming to be together. But there are other people who ride on his fame.
All right. And we'll be wrapping up on that in regards to our news check this morning. And we want to take a quick break. But when we come back, the U.S. elections will be today, although 71 million people had already voted earlier in the early vote. And also Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, very close, actually one of the closest U.S. election in history. And there are some Kenyans who are also contesting some of the civic seats there. We'll be looking at that foreign policy when we come back.
Tumewaudhi na lipi?
Haudhani itakuwa bora zaidi ukitumia akili yako ndogo kufikiria ni vipi tutapata mtoto ndani ya nyumba, sio kujihusisha na mambo ya jamii ambayo hata hayakuhusu. Kupigana na mimi wewe? Lia. Wewe leo hii unataka kupigana na mimi? Nani amemwenda mwenzako? Nani amemwenda? Hebu nyamaza.
Baba ni kiongozi. Usinifungie biashara.
Mama. Sisala!
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Fala, we are tired of this one major problems after another. If you don't have solution, don't raise problems, okay?
A solution to what, Warrior? What are the solution without a problem?
I don't know. What are they?
No problem, of course.
Come in. He has just said that he comes from Nairobi, Kenya. And then how is he a Jamaican again?
Okay, maybe he's an Jamaican who is visiting Kenya.
Ninakwambia leo tunaenda kutengeneza pesa
na tugawane hiyo pesa pia. Tunakuaga na tabia ya kunitoka pesa kila wakati wewe.
Lasta. Uchaijua hizi haso zetu zinakuaga na expenses.
Are you now saying that we are girls?
Including you?
Of course. Girl power all the way.
Omera, opportunity comes one Nyathiwa. Aido Villas Atito will be running for MCA of Sawati 1.
Welcome back. Just in case you joined us, you're just in time for KBC News Check. We've done the first hour, and on this second hour, we would like also to weigh in on the U.S. presidential election. This is why U.S. and our foreign policy mostly have to align so that we may benefit from that as well. And also, a number of our diaspora brothers and sisters are in the United States. Remember, during COVID, we had the diaspora remittances being the highest foreign earners. Just show you how we cannot just watch the U.S. election as the world watches Kenya's election. I'm with three gentlemen. I have Dr. Churchill Saoke, I have Dr. Isaac Hassan, and I also have Sami Meli. All are professionals in their field and also governance experts. Beginning with you, Dr. I'm looking at the U.S. foreign policy, how we can align it with us, and especially Kenya and developing countries. We had our president in, I think it was in June, May, June, there in the United States, just talking about the partnership that we can benefit for mutual benefit for the two countries, which could be the safer bet, if you ask me. Kamala Harris has been the vice president, so very close to that seat. Trump has been the president.
Kenya is a very strategic country in the region, and especially for the West, US, UK, and many, Germany, most of the Western powers. And we are very strategic into the entry of the region, and Kenya has positioned itself as a haven of peace, anchoring its foreign policy as peacemakers in the region. And this is one thing that has really given us a lot of edge, because we have had impact in Somalia, we have had impact in South Sudan, we have had impact in the DRC, in the greater Great Lakes. We are hugely a powerhouse, and even economically. So ideally, and hugely because the US, for example, sees us as very key strategic partners in advancing their horizontal political power distribution, in advancing their economic power in the region, and even soft power. So that makes us very strategic, and the cooperation between Kenya and the US, therefore, is very significant for the US. For a better time, especially after, in this regime, there has been a lot of capitalization on the climate diplomacy, which has really brought a lot of inflow of financial capital into the country in terms of development, and the development partners flowing into the country to just initiate development programs around climate change. And again, there has also been a lot of inroads into bringing conferences and diplomatic conventions in the Kenya, which ideally positions the pride of the country. And these are because of our strategic relationship with the US, and also the business relationship that has been strengthened in the last 2 years, and even in the former regime, between America and Kenya. So this election, for me, I see what is likely to tilt a little bit is more at the political level, in terms of each of these two players. We might want to ask what is their priorities, because America, unlike Kenya, the bureaucracy informs a lot of continuation of programs beyond, even after changes of regimes, and you might not really see immediate changes when a president comes. But one key thing that will be very important is to see is, Trump, for example, has been more conservative in wanting to advance the interest of making America great. We want to bring all our manufacturing back into the US. We want to invest in our people. The business of investing in the UN architecture, in all these multinational institutions, is not important. It's not helping America. So, and from global diplomacy, we gain a lot from these, from the fact that they put a lot of money into these multinational institutions. So if he advances that and signs off policies that institutionalize it, then we are likely to see a lot of shrinking of the benefits that come from some of this development funding. The other side, Harris is likely to continue on with what Biden is doing in emboldening the leadership of the US in the globe, and ensuring that they are able to fund programs around the globe to show that they are the unipower. Yeah. And
Doc, I'm looking at foreign policy, which more or less is a little bit dictated by how the heavyweights, how their foreign policy is. I'm saying this because we are looking at, for example, the war in Ukraine. When Russia invaded Ukraine, despite us being thousands of miles away from the war, Kenya caught that cold because in terms of cooking oil, in terms of food prices. So I'm looking at these two presidents who are more or less cut from different cloths, looking at the presidency of Donald Trump and looking at what we expect Harris to do, and especially what Doc has talked about is more or less if Harris takes the day, he is more or less further the policies that they were with the just outgoing President Joe Biden. I would like you to talk about that because you've traveled far and you have seen how these foreign policies shape up the lives that we have here, despite us being hundreds of miles or thousands of miles away from the countries.
Yeah, I think the politics of America affects globally. You know, we are in a global market, and the global market means that we do businesses from different angle of this world. Mm-hmm. And much of this is controlled by the superpower. And we know very well America is currently the superpower. We may not know for how long. But you see, the important thing is that their policies usually affect all other regions or continents across the world, specifically Africa. And what happens is that the issue of supremacy in terms of expecting loyalty from nations that they dominate largely affects what we need to do in terms of ensuring that Kenyans benefit from their foreign policy. For example, the Democrats have one window that basically helps in the foreign policies. This is the fact that they are more welcoming in terms of accepting immigrants into the country. Of course, issues related to business, trade, and all other things. Again, the fact that America goes beyond their foreign policy into other people's policies is that sometimes they dictate who becomes a friend to us and who should not be our friend. And it's the nature of superpower that if you are not a friend to the superpower, then you shouldn't be a friend to that particular person as well, if you want to be a friend to the superpower. So there are a lot of issues in relations to ordinarily how we carry out our cross-border businesses with people who are friendly with America and countries that are not friendly with America. When you get to now the bigger picture, why is it that Ukraine, which is very far from even America, like as we do, affects all of us? It's because of the supply chain. There are quite a number of things that interlinks us in order for us to prosper in the global world. You will realize that we don't grow much when it comes to feeding this nation. As much as every nation used to depend on their own product, things have become totally different, whereby you must have a link to another field where you are able to get or to be reserviced in terms of the nation's need. Secondly, movement. If Ukraine is in the middle of supply chain, then that means even the countries that in principle will have got things from them, it will be difficult for them to come in, or they go far from that aspect of it. You remember the issue of the fuel. We were being told because of Ukraine war, because of Middle East war, we are not able to control the global price of oil. That means then basically we are all linked. But when you come to, as Doc has said, when you come to issues of Trump has never been, even in his first term, I don't think if he has ever visited any African nation in the first term when he is in office.
He was
I
never
don't
in
think
Africa.
so. And he never visited also Middle East he did, but he visited Israel and Saudi Arabia. Yes, and purposely Israel was to link between Israel and Saudi Arabia so that Iran can be pushed. Yes. So it wasn't purposely for development or other things that perhaps we will say. But if we come back to our continent, 4 years is not a short period. We didn't hear even South Africa, which has been a friend to most of the Western countries, he didn't visit. Forget about Kenya. So I don't think if he'll going to change in this 4 years term if he gets or secures the presidency. And from the statistics that we see in the current report from the US, perhaps much of our report is based on what we see analysis being done in CNN, indicates that the Democrats are likely to have an upper hand. But you know, the trick of American election for the presidency is that the electoral colleges determine not the popularity. Sometimes you will realize that you are more popular in one state, but because you have been defeated by one vote, then all your vote goes out, and the whole electoral college in that state will be scooped by the person who won that particular state. So, meaning then, your popularity will not secure you the position as a president. Therefore, their way of doing their business in terms of the electoral process is totally different from ours, and we cannot determine who actually will become the president based on the popularity that we see currently.
And actually, they are very close to call.
Exactly. At the moment, in terms of their polls, you see they are similar to both of them winning. And therefore, I think what is crucial for us at the moment is to see who becomes the president in America and analyze at that particular time and see perhaps what policies or foreign policies will going to influence our country in terms of the new president for United States. Democrats are very bold. They concentrate on Middle East. And you realize that most of their issues in terms of what they need to influence in their foreign approach is purely destabilizing one foreign office to another. For example, now, I mean, it is very evident that America has come out very clearly in supporting Israel to commit genocide. Even after the UN has said Israel is committing genocide, still they are supporting it. That means then sometimes democracy, sometimes human rights issues, sometimes issues of protection and abuse of human beings is in question when the definers of all those are the ones who are spearheading the process at the moment.
Meli, I would also like you to dig in. I'm looking at United States, one of the foreign policies, and looking at how they are doing their things, looking at the Horn of Africa. They have really helped us in terms of trade and also more specifically in the Horn of Africa, security issues, and especially the Al-Shabaab. And just as Doc has mentioned, of course, there are going to be a number of changes in terms of how they now approach. Let's say it's Biden, it's Harris. He might more or less follow what Biden has been doing. What if it's Trump? He's known to be very outspoken. I would like you to touch on that. And also in regards to, we have Kenyans, of course they are United States citizens, but they are born Kenyans who are also vying there, just to show you what opportunities are there in the land of opportunities. Vying for civic seats.
Yes. US elections are actually like a world elections because it has a lot of influence in world politics and world economies. First, considering that the US dollar is almost the biggest currency that is used in trade all over the world. But looking at the two parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, Republicans are more of capitalists and Democrats are between capitalist and socialist in a way. But when you look at the person on Donald Trump himself, he has been a hands-on president. His word is like a policy. But I want to look at the AGOA, an agreement that is on African Opportunity Act that assists African countries to access the US market in 19,000 products. actually duty-free. We are looking at our EPZ zones that supply products to the United States. If Trump was to come in, for example, he might come up with other policies that might suppress that that agreement, because you look at Trump saying, buy America, build America. He doesn't believe in products coming out of America. You could hear him talking about Chinese products, what. So he is after building America. And if you look at his foreign policy, he visited 19 countries in his term before the COVID, and none of them was an African country. So if there was a black state, is actually in the Latin America that perhaps he visited for 3 days. But all the others were concentrated on European countries, Japan on the other side. He went to the Vatican at some point, France at some point. So his influence may not be actually pro-African, but the stabilization of the warring zones. He said, I'll pick a call at White House and call Putin and tell him stop this. You see the way he says it. I'm looking at a situation whereby he will play a very big role in calming the storm that is in the northern side, the wars that is all over. And if you look at even the Israeli war, mostly Israelis, in as much as they make their own weapons, majority of their weapons also are American in a way. So they have always looked at America as the big brother. So it can always, perhaps the war may escalate or reduce depending on who comes in. But if you look at Kamala Harris coming in, she might continue with the Biden, as my colleague has said, the Biden policies, and most of the Biden policies are also Obama policies. People are saying if Harris comes in as president, perhaps it will be Obama's 4th term. And you have seen the Obamas actually being more vibrant in the campaigns than any other president in the U.S., retired president in the U.S. You'd see Obama going to Chicago, the first lady going to Illinois on this other side. They are traversing America like it has everything to do with them. But if I may dig into the impact of the Ukraine, the Russian war, the US, look, we don't have enough, as Doc has said. Most of our wheat comes from other countries. The wheat we grow locally we don't have surplus. In fact, we have a deficit. So Ukraine brings that wheat. In our agriculture also,
wheat and several grains
and several other agricultural products. Looking at also the agricultural industry, where phosphatic fertilizer come in, the urea, they also come from Russia. You remember the donation that came and disappeared midway, and at the end of the day we got stones in bags. Perhaps the ceasing of that war may help us stabilize in the prices of agricultural inputs or the prices of food products. So we are looking forward to a president who will calm the storm, a president who will be pro-Africa, promote African trade with the US. Otherwise, if the policies were to change, because right now we don't know Trump's policies. He has no agenda, actually, you can see. His agenda is in his mind, unlike Harris' agenda, which is in the pen and paper. His is still, you remember the one, 25? Yes. It is still a plan that he has never put on the table. So American politics affect us. American politics affect even our political life. American politics affect our economy. And looking at our dollar, at the moment, the dollar versus the shilling, right now is at 128. Perhaps once things stabilize and the dollar is not in a very high demand, then perhaps even the shilling will stabilize.
And away from the dollar, I'm also hoping that our politics will come to a point where right now the US are over 330 million people, but the campaigns are so muted. But in Kenya, a year, 2 years to election, we are on fire.
Yes, there was something I forgot.
Yeah.
There is a second American base that they are seeking to have in the East African waters. When Trump comes in, remember, that will be implemented without question. Others, you see, the Democrats are still using democratic means to get it in negotiations. But I'm sure Trump will just say, we need a base, and it is at this point, and it will happen. Yes.
All right, I'm informed that one of the president's advisor, Monica Juma, is currently addressing a conference in regards to women's rights. Let's first of all cross over and listen in and then come back with this discussion.
Now, I think this single call by the president is a call for a concert of action by all across society, between government, the private sector, civil society, the people, women and men, across society. But if we are going to have a concert of action that is effective, that helps us to deal with this as other challenges that we have seen here, I think we need a conductor of the orchestra. Yes, we need a conductor of the orchestra to ensure coherence, to ensure synergy, to ensure efficacy, to ensure effectiveness. This, in my view, is the role of the Office of the Women's Rights Advisor, to help us connect the dots, to help us understand the skill, the character, understand the competencies, where they are, and to bring these dots together in order to drive a momentum that is required to keep our women safe, to enable and empower them, to secure their dreams, to guarantee their prosperity, and to secure society. I am therefore delighted to have this opportunity, and hopefully we can all work together from Harriet's office, my office, across government in a coordinated way. So why? This seems quite obvious. Why is this therefore necessary? Why is it not happening? I am sure all of us understand the value of women empowerment in this room, and so I do not want to tire us with a litany of why this is necessary. What I want to do in a very short while is just to underscore the imperative for women empowerment. We know that women equality is not just a lobbying civic society matter. It is not just a human rights issue. It's not just a social justice issue, but we have been told it is good business. It is good business. There is evidence galore to indicate, as we have heard, that businesses that have women in their decision-making perform better. When I served as a CS in energy, I arrived in a ministry that was said it was the boys' ministry, and the cooperation in energy were boys' places for the boys that had not made it. This was the gifting point, right? In a flash, we changed the corporations and made them women. And the effect of that is being seen today in the energy sector. Yeah? When I was in MOD, you will all remember the story of KMC. And so the president one morning said, you have KMC and I want you to turn it around. I said, really? KMC? We are doing business, you know? And so we went into it. In a span of 90 days, we had turned KMC around. And it's because I went out and got a woman veterinarian, I got a woman finance and business person into the board. And that did it. And that did it even when they were not in the majority of the board. The trajectory of the KMC has changed, and it is moving and driving the livestock sector. Women empowerment is good politics. You have just listened to Sholay here, so I need not say anything else. But even globally, in the midst of the COVID crisis, we saw that women leaders performed better than their male counterpart across the world. So it is not a Kenyan thing, it's a proven thing. because there is sense of feeling the society and the needs of people and serving the people. Women empowerment is good security, and I think I can speak to this for the next hour or so. We know that in the provision of security, in the mediation of peace processes that sustain, that have a chance of being sustainable are those that involve women mediators. We know that as a matter of fact. But we also know something else, that increasingly now, even peace support operations across the world perform better when they have women peacekeepers. So it is good security. But women empowerment is also good society. I have been told that when you want to look at the indices of good life, of good society, you look at two populations. You look at the state of women, and you look at how that society treats their children and their disabled population. It's a very good indicator. And I just want to tell you something. Those of us in security...
That is the National Security Advisor, Monica Juma. They are addressing a conference in regards to human rights and women empowerment. We'll be getting a little bit more details in regards to that function in our subsequent bulletin, and especially in the Kurunzi Mashinani at 12. Just in case you joined us, you're just in time. This is KBC News Check. Many thanks for keeping us company. We're looking at the state of the nation, and the U.S. over 71 million had already voted in the early election, but today is the D-Day. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, Republican and Democrat. And Kenya, we always say that if the United States sneezes, third world countries and developing countries catch a cold. So we are totally dependent on how we align our foreign policy to the United States. And with three gentlemen, we were looking at that. And away from that, gentlemen, allow me, because of the interest of time, to look at some of the issues that have been cropping up. There are signs also indicate that some of the clauses in the contentious finance bill could slowly but surely be making their way back. And allow me to quote this. This is the Parliamentary Budget Office yesterday warned against the new taxes amid economic strain, and has recommended that the government focuses on enhancing current revenue-raising options, and also something that we have been seeing here and there, that is digitization. Churchill, I would like you to weigh in on that in regards, because it's not the first time. Even this, the Treasury CS, John Bard, he said that there are some clauses that they are looking into so that they can be reintroduced. I would like you to pick your mind on that.
I think this is something that was also expected. Because you see, once the government achieves its political stability, then it tries to find ways in which it can regain its economic stability by seeking options or ways of generating resources, and one of which is from taxes. So you remember that the tax bill, the finance bill which was very contested. It was difficult to push through some of those provisions at the time because of the contestation around that time and the political impact. But then with the stabilization, it becomes easy for government to push this. And I think that it is something that might be difficult to fight. And government will really still want to see how to push through these things. And again, the CS for Treasury, the moment he got into Treasury building, I think the realities of the weight of the responsibility that is on him was so real for him, and the need to fund programs and pay people was so real, and they realized that maybe some of the provisions that the government was proposing, we just need to consider them. And I think that these are some of the things that happen. It is much easier to make noise when you're out of the system. But when you are given the mantles, and now we want you to deliver this, pay people, fund programs, fund education, people go to school, no strike, everything in the country needs to move on as per. Then it reaches a point where you realize that there's certain things that you opposed that will actually make things work. And I think that's the reality that the finance CS has realized.
Doc, the CS said that he could be seeking to introduce some of the clauses that were in the contentious finance bill. And looking at what the Parliamentary Budget Office, the statistics that they released yesterday, shortfalls of over 200 billion. Can we look at the contentious bill and get some of the good that were there, just like CS Mbadi has talked about, or still Kenyans are skeptical in regards to that bill that was shot down by Kenyans?
I think it's important, as you said, to refer to a document that was well thought of, that can give us a bit of way out in terms of how best we can benefit from the bill. That is always in order. But my worry is we are already in the middle of the financial year. And at this period in time, the government is trying to work on the budget of 2025. And having had already for 6 months in the current status quo, that of course caused a bit of mayhem when this bill was introduced. I don't think if it's a great idea to have again another tension in the country. The best thing is, can the minister or the CS and the rest of the technical team concentrate on how they can give us a very logical, reasonable financial proposal for 2025 26 fiscal year, rather than having to introduce things that have created tension in the country, which actually has led to reshaping of the whole government structure, as well as even rethinking of both our parliamentarians and our executive in terms of how they should handle sensitive issues within the society, because you are making things that ultimately have to have impact on the society. And therefore, if you think they are beneficial to the society, you are able to move them ahead. If you think they are not, then the issue is not a matter of collecting money. This year, the best thing for us is to stop the lavish life that we are having every other time. Recently, I saw on social media that one of the presidents in Africa was sworn in his boardroom, the office boardroom, and he was sworn in, and it never costed $1,000. But in our own style of doing some work, we are extravagant. And therefore, the government, I think their concentration should not go on trying to sneak issues that were contentious in the initial onset of introducing the budget bill, but rather try to see how they can cut costs to cover whatever gap is in existence for the next 6 months. Then from there we go into a very well thought of and well robust financial year with a proper financial bill that is acceptable by all, that can run this country to the effectiveness that we desire. And I tend to think if that is not the way we are reasoning, then we will going to have a lot of tension again. Our youth will wake up. Gen Zs are not asleep, they are watching. It's a matter of just someone saying, I think enough is enough. And it just wakes up. Therefore, I think my take on this is that I think CS Mbadi should think of how smartly he will package his 2025-2026 financial bill so that we are able to understand, conceptualize, prepare, and then by the time they are taking it to Parliament to be passed, we are already conversant with it. And if there are issues A, B, C, D, this will be addressed even before it gets to Parliament, or at the time when parliamentarians will now give opportunity for public participation.
Meli, the Parliamentary Budget Office has warned against new taxes, and it has given more or less remedies for that. And it's talking about to focus on enhancing the current revenue generation strategies that we have, and also leverage on technology, as opposed to new taxes.
Now, if we look at our budget, we are running currently on the 2023 budget. The 2024 finance bill had both the good things and the bad parts.
So you mean 2023 Finance Act?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. So it had, and therefore we threw away the baby with the bathwater by throwing away the 2024 finance bill. So I think the Treasury needs to re-strategize and see of ways of collecting more without changing any new laws, because I am sure there are people who are not paying taxes and running businesses. The employed people in this country are not lucky because theirs is deducted at source. There are others who are lucky to challenge the system and avoid paying taxes. And that is why the leveraging on digitalization is necessary, because there are a few people carrying the burden of the whole country. I think that is what the CS is saying. If you look at our budget, we collect around 2.2 trillion. It was said 1.1 trillion goes into repayment of debts and loans. Then we are left with 1.1, which 700 is on the current expenditure or paying of salaries to government civil servants. Yeah. Then we are left with around 400, which the counties need the entire 400. So the national government is left with nothing to run its affairs. And remember, all these, we are not just paying, we have infrastructure which has stalled and other government projects that have stalled because there is no funding. The president was so categorical and saying we are not going for more loans. Unfortunately, we are seeing even 78 billion coming in the last 1 week from IMF. I think the government has been forced to go back into loans, because what is collected is not enough. We need a bill that guides them on how to collect more. Otherwise, they cannot use the old bill to collect more, which it doesn't state the same. The digitalization. So if we were to wait for another 6 months, remember, coming January, they need to employ those teachers. They have advertised their spaces. They need to absorb the interns, nurses and clinical officers. They need to absorb them. And where will the money come from? Because Kenyans should understand one thing. The government runs on taxes. If not taxes, then we go to treasury bills and bonds. If it is not there, we go to grants and loans, which is another one. We are subjecting our leadership into that. But the leadership also should show us the prudence in how they spend their monies. How can a swearing in of a deputy president be such an occasion where there are state-of-the-art tents around, there are chairs which I've never seen in another function.
Fuel guzzlers as well.
Fuel guzzlers coming around. The thing should have been done at State House, in the President's office, or Arambe House, which is already equipped. The deputy president would have taken the oath. There was no different oath being taken. He should have taken the oath and start working, because that is what we expect. We have 6 months to the next financial year. What are we doing? Are we looking at the Finance Bill 2024? What if we arose again tension in the country, as Daktari has warned? They have to be very careful in what they do. At the same time, public information. Kenyans are getting propaganda left, right, and center, but the government is saying nothing that is substantial. We want enough people who are able to disseminate government policies to the people at the lower level. I'm sure even the chiefs don't know what is going on. I'm sure the DCC don't know. And those are the people who hold barazas and explain to the people down there, other than just arresting Kenyans and putting them in cells. I am looking forward to a country whereby the police can warn you that you have done this mistake, but don't repeat it. But ours are trigger happy. They want to put you in handcuffs any minute they get you. This country cannot grow if we are just money-centered. Every other thing is all about money. Look at the people you are getting the taxes from. Yes, look at the people who, the unemployed youth. Do you think it makes value when a degree holder is cleaning the streets down here? Which the line he didn't study. Somebody who did medicine is cleaning the streets, I think, under kazi kwa vijana. It doesn't make sense. We should be able to generate income in a more humane way. Explain to those people who are not paying taxes that this country runs this way. And this is what we need to do. Appeal to them. And Kenyans are good people. They donate. You wake up one day, you find yourself in a WhatsApp group, you understand the story that is behind that, you donate. Kenyans cannot refuse to run their own country. But the way we are being explained to, sometimes it looks like it's a must, it's by force. No, Kenyans are good people. They are hospitable people. They will understand. Even if one day we realize that the loan is too much, we can even donate. There was a time Moi used to do Harambes for vijana, and we contributed money at KICC. You remember that?
I'm quite sure Kenyans right now are quite
Kenyans
pressed,
can do that unless the leadership becomes serious. We want to see corrupt individuals being prosecuted. We want to see them being jailed. And if they want a law, we can pass a referendum within 1 day or 1 week, and we say any corrupt fella should be dealt with this way. And it's summary. We summarize that story. Otherwise, you see corruption cases going on and on and on. Somebody goes to prison for 1 week, he comes back, he appeals, and
which Kenya are you talking about?
No, Kenya can change. We can change this country, and that is why we are opinion shapers
for now.
Yes.
Baby steps for now.
Yes.
Gentlemen, because of the interest of time, let's look at the equitable share of counties. It's not the first year, the second year, the third year that we have had issues in regards to how the funds are being disbursed. We are having counties having to borrow to just do what the national government does when it's in a financial fix, borrow. And these loans, let's be very honest, they're being paid by Kenyans. I remember Governor Barasa saying that he had like 2 months that I had not got about 70 billion Kenya shillings in regards to that. And that not only derails development, but also in terms of recurrent expenditure. They have having a hard time going for commercial bank loans. Yeah.
I think this conversation around the revenue distribution across country, across the counties, has really been it's come over and over again, especially when the discussions on how to share the revenues is almost. And I think that as a strong advocate of devolved systems, I have occasionally, in many occasions, advanced the cause of over and above what the counties get from the national government. The need to look at diversification of the revenue streams for the counties.
On-source revenue, right?
Exactly. And I think that, I mean, the conversations around the on-source revenues is always here, but then, there's a lot of obscurity around it. And even for the counties that are already having some of the alternate income generating sources, the transparency around it is not very good, and accountability is also not very good. Some of them use some of this alternate revenue collection as sources for corruption. And I think that it is important, yes, the national government should be able to advance the revenues to the counties on time. But then again, the prudent use of these resources, and at the same time, the counties looking at the sustainability model of funding their operations and their development is very important for me. And I think that the transparency around the on-source revenue is very important and crucial. Otherwise, we end up blowing the light on the revenue that comes from the national government and obscure the public from the revenues that come from on-source. And therefore, this on-source, which could be used for creating sustainability financial model for the county, ends up getting into people's pockets, and then we only focus on what comes from the national government. So I think there should be a honest discussion around this, and counties also need to come out and be honest with the public on whether they take the collections they get from the parking and all these kind of things. And then again also the other thing that has been mentioned here about the operations. They continually employ people and roles that are very redundant, bulging the huge bill, all right? You have two people who are in the same office, one person only reading newspapers, the other person has no work, yet these people are being paid. So these are things that, these are also the things that are really reducing productivity of the countries, but we really must have very honest and candid conversations around them.
I'm informed we are out of time, but gentlemen, let me give you 1 minute each, because each one of us comes from, and we even living here in Nairobi County, and each one of us has a county that he hails from. But most of the counties are not getting their own source revenue, which could be bridging some of these gaps that we are experiencing. And even the 20 billion that the government, the 47 government plus one national government have to sit down and talk about. Doc.
I think, as he has put it very well, I'm also an advocate of devolution, but not the devolution in Kenya. Allow me to give you a story that happened in Somalia after its collapse. An old man came out and said, in the onset of Siad Barre's rule, there was a river with only one big crocodile. And every day that crocodile was demanding for one goat. And the people who were living there decided to plan on how to remove that obstacle, because they were tired of giving out their goat every day in order for them to get their water from the river. When they killed, little did they know that there were 12 other crocodiles who were not coming out to demand for anything, because it was suppressed by the big crocodile which was there that they were feeding. So when that died, 12 of them came out. We are going through similar situation where we had a country where corruption was at the top level. We only had the national government which were corrupt. And then we opened 47 other corruption centers. Why am I saying that? The money that is given to the counties is actually sufficient enough to run that county. The challenge is the money comes in today, the money goes out the same day to different accounts.
And we've seen 38 accounts.
Exactly. 1,000 and something accounts. A governor claiming that he has 1,000 account for the county. For what? Those are corruption, what do you call, halls, where when auditors come, they give out some few accounts to be audited, others remain unaudited. So when reality comes, then you must also tell the truth to the county that you are managing. For example, in Mandera, we have got 180 billion so far, 180 billion from the time devolution started, or 200 and something, if I add other development and other partners who have, and grants and all those things that have been added. Mandera County was much better when it was under national government than when it's under devolution. Few individuals have enriched themselves. They have built estates in Nairobi and other parts of the world, and the county still remains a village from the onset of when it was devolved. And people celebrated when the devolution went there, but little did we know that devolution will going to destroy the people of Mandera County.
Okay.
You will find a governor having multiple estates in the different names of other people in Nairobi and in Dubai. You wonder, where did he collect that money from? You will find an MCA with the estate in Utawala You wonder, where did he get that money from? And recently they were demonstrating.
And therefore,
I think to conclude, this will have been a very interesting topic that we demystify and then tell Kenyans how it is working now. But what I would say is that the bottom line is that devolution has been misused. We need to rethink how to, policies must come in, how to utilize the resources without using the executive in the counties. We must have institutions that will run those expenditures and those projects.
All right, Meli?
Yes, devolution governments have been something else. Correctly, as the doctors put it, they have been centers of corruption. Unfortunately, the checks and balances are not there to make sure that these people know people who work in counties, for example. Somebody who's earning 16,000 but has built a maisonette. Where did the money come from? The people know who are corrupt, but they don't want to speak it up.
All right. Thank you so much, Sami Meli, Isaac Hassan, and Churchill Saoke. Thank you indeed so much for joining us. Let's do this again some other time. My name is Ben Troy Njue. Brian Muraru is our sign language interpreter.
Artificial intelligence that evaluates traffic and can prevent congestion. Autonomous flying vehicles that communicate with each other. It all sounds pretty cool, but do innovations like this really make travel better for us? What is the future of smart mobility? Today on Shift. 150 hours in traffic every year. That's the reality for the average person from London or Chicago. That's almost an entire week stuck in your car waiting. Congestion is a huge problem in many big cities, but what if we could leave the road behind altogether?
A startup from India is developing a flying taxi for two, barely larger than a conventional car. In Brazil, it's hoped that vehicles like this will be on the market by 2026. In autonomous flight mode, this model will carry 6 passengers up to 100 kilometres. In Japan, this single-seater is taking to the skies. In Israel, a startup is testing air taxis for medical emergencies and transporting patients to hospital. And German company Volocopter wants to ferry people around at next year's Paris Olympics. The Vertical Flight Society estimates that there are over 700 different designs for electric vertical takeoff and landing aircrafts, or eVTOLs, from nearly 350 companies worldwide. Other than helicopters, which often run on kerosene, most flying cars use electric motors. eVTOLs are also quieter than helicopters and thus more suited for urban areas. And because they don't emit carbon dioxide, they are more eco-friendly too, assuming the electricity comes from sustainable sources. However, the shorter range coupled with the weight of the batteries means that most designs can only carry 2 passengers. There are undoubtedly some challenges to overcome until we see flying taxis in our cities. There are many regulatory and safety questions still unanswered, and infrastructure for takeoff and landing still needs to be built.
So it might be a while before we can kiss the traffic jam goodbye. But another mobility revolution is on the cusp of a breakthrough. Fully autonomous robo-taxis are making an appearance in the streets of San Francisco.
Driverless cars like this one are a common sight here in famously tech-friendly San Francisco. Cameras, radar and LiDAR technology continuously scan the car's surroundings. The cabs use cloud-based map systems to navigate their way through the city. But the technology isn't perfect. Cars don't always wait where they should. and often stop when they get confused, blocking traffic.
I don't know why we're done.
Accidents have happened. One car crashed into a fire truck in San Francisco, sparking protest, especially amongst taxi drivers.
They are a menace. They stop unexpectedly. They actually have broken the law many times. We see them signal one way and then go another way.
Sharon Giovinazzo is more convinced. Her non-profit is partnered with an autonomous car provider. And for a blind person, no driver means no discrimination.
One of the things I found out with taxis and rideshare services, because I choose to have a guide dog to navigate the world, is they will leave me standing on the side of the street. And they will cancel rides even after they pull up and they see the dog. They don't want to have the dog in their vehicle. Whereas here, there's no opinion because there's no driver.
And autonomous vehicles can navigate traffic more smoothly than a human being, she says.
When you're like, or, you know, that sudden stop that's made, or, you know, you feel people swerving and people honking at you and not being able to see what's going on. It's fearful. It really is. I've never had one fear sitting in one of these. I just say that it's welcome to the future.
So far, robo-taxis are something of an experiment. And not all people in San Francisco want their city to be a test track. But it seems they are here to stay.
Autonomous vehicles are being tested worldwide, from VW's rollout of driverless minibuses in Germany to China's driverless cabs. It's a race for supremacy. But driver assistance systems aren't welcome everywhere. In China, Tesla drivers aren't allowed to park in certain government or military areas. Their cameras and sensors scan a little too much of the environment. Modern vehicles collect vast amounts of data, all in the name of safety and convenience. But can a vehicle know too much about us?
Is your brand new car collecting information on your sex life? If you're in the USA and driving a Nissan or a Kia, it just might be. That's according to the terms and conditions there. Modern cars are equipped with cameras, trackers and microphones. They can access a phone's data when it's connected to the car. Data is valuable, and car companies know that too. The Mozilla Foundation found all 25 car brands it investigated were collecting far more data than necessary. In their words, it was a privacy nightmare. According to the study, 84% of companies shared personal user data with third parties. 76% even profited from it.
So, if you want to keep your private data to yourself, make sure to use onboard apps sparingly and only link your smartphone if you really need to. The data gathered by your car can be useful to us, though. It can help us get from A to B faster and more safely. Take a look at this project from Europe.
Hello, kids.
Hey, guys. Hey, everybody.
Are you ready for fun?
Huh?
We have an amazing package just for you. Akili. Ubongo.
Ubongo kids. Ubongo kids.
Big minds.
That is our future. I am who I am.
Travelers.
I can travel to wherever I want.
Robocars. And N-Gen.
No more pollution, you know what I mean.
Oh, those little geniuses.
The Children's Corner. Saturday mornings this holiday season only on KBC.
That's right!
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile mobile digital app.
Tumewaudhi na lipi? Haudhani itakuwa bora zaidi ukitumia akili yako ndogo kufikiria ni vipi tutapata mtoto ndani ya nyumba, si kujihusisha na mambo ya jamii ambayo hata hayakuhusu. Kapigana na mimi wewe, Tulia. Wewe leo hii unataka kupigana na mimi? Nani amemwambia mwenzako? Nani amemwambia? Hebu nyamaza.
Tafadhali kiongozi, usinifungie biashara.
Mama. Sikala!
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country shifted.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban mtazamaji popote ulipo, ni siku nyingine tunakongamana hapa ni kupatia taarifa za adhuhuri za Kurunzi Mashinani. Natumai siku yako inakuendea bomba siku hii ya tarehe 5 mwezi wa 11 mwaka 2024. Hujambo na karibu. Kumbuka mtazamaji, unaweza fuatilia taarifa hizi moja kwa moja kwenye ukurasa wetu wa Facebook @KBC Channel 1, kule mtandao wa X @KBC Channel 1, na kwangu ni Khalid Abdullahi. Na mtazamaji, naomba tuandamane hadi tamati. Kenya imepiga hatua kubwa katika kuchunguza na kudhibiti ugonjwa wa saratani katika miaka ya hivi punde. Wataalamu wa tiba za ugonjwa wa saratani na damu wakiongozwa na afisa mkuu wa taasisi ya kitaifa kuhusu ugonjwa wa saratani, Daktari Elias Meli, walisema uwezo wa kuchunguza maambukizi ya saratani umeboreshwa, huku kukiwa na vituo vya kufanya uchunguzi ugonjwa huo katika maeneo ya mashinani kote nchini. Chama cha wataalam wa tiba za saratani kinanuia kuandaa kampeni ya uhamasisho kuhusu saratani mnamo tarehe 19 mwezi huu, ambapo uchunguzi wa ugonjwa huo utafanywa pamoja na kutoa huduma za matibabu bila malipo kwa wakazi wa Kisumu.
As we speak right now, we have an oncology benefits package that at least is a beginner in addressing the cost of cancer care in general.
We used to have many patients going to India and other countries looking for cancer care in terms of diagnostic, like PET CT scan. As Dr. Meli mentioned, we now have a PET CT scan in the country. We have 2 of them. We have at the Kenyatta University Teaching Referral Hospital, and another one at, 3 of them, and the other one is the Aga Khan University Hospital and the Nairobi West Hospital. So these are great leaps we are doing in a country.
In Kisumu, on the 19th, we will be vaccinating girls from the age of 9 to 14, free of charge. And again, this is backed by information that 1 dose is just as adequate as getting 3 doses, which is what we are targeting for. Again, on the 19th, we are going to be talking to both men and women, because our leading cancers in Kenya is breast cancer and cervical cancer in women. In men, it is prostate and colorectal cancer.
Waziri mwenye mamlaka makuu Musalia Mudavadi ametoa wito kwa kampuni za Slovenian kuzingatia sekta za Kenya za utengenezaji bidhaa, hususan katika maeneo ya kutengeneza bidhaa zinazouzwa nje na maeneo maalum ya kibiashara. Akiongea wakati wa mkutano na naibu waziri mkuu wa Slovenia na waziri wa masuala ya nchi kigeni Tanja Fajon, Mudavadi alitangaza mfumo dhibiti wa teknolojia ya habari na mawasiliano ya Kenya ili kuwavutia wawekezaji. Mudavadi pia alitoa wito wa Slovenia kusaidia ajenda ya kimataifa ya Rais William Ruto kuhusu mikakati ya kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, uhifadhi wa bioanuwai na ustawi wa kiuchumi. Nchi hizi mbili zilielezea wasiwasi kuhusu mabadiliko ya tabia nchi na wakasisitiza kujitolea kwao kupunguza gesi zinazotolewa na viungulio na kuimarisha ukakamavu.
I am pleased to note that there is a great interest by the Slovenian private sector to invest in Kenya. Both sides have committed to enhancing linkages between their private sectors to create mutually beneficial partnerships and businesses.
We will work hand in hand when it comes to our common challenges for both countries, and also through the Security Council, where you mentioned. I really want to thank sincerely to Kenya for big support to our candidacy in the Security Council of United Nations, and I commend the very important strategic role Kenya is playing for the stability in the Horn of Africa and in your region.
Mtazamaji, wadau katika sekta ya pensheni wanahimiza serikali kushirikisha shughuli za mipango ya malipo ya uzeeni kwa kutoa vishawishi vya kuimarisha uchumi wa taifa na kutatua tatizo la ufukara miongoni mwa watu waliostaafu. Wakiongozwa na mkurugenzi mkuu wa kampuni ya huduma za ushauri wa kifedha ya CPF Osaya Kilo, wadau hao walitoa wito wa kuiwezesha hazina ya NSSF kushirikisha kikamilifu na mipango mingine ya pensheni.
We are therefore saying, for the sake of protecting this industry, the private sector and the entire retirement sector, kindly allow a re-engagement, a discussion on how we can be able to have NSSF coexist with the private sector pension schemes. We kindly request the government to revisit the model of the NSSF Act as currently put in place and protect the integrity and existence of the pension scheme.
Na mtazamaji, ujenzi wa madarasa ya gredi ya 9 umeanza mtaani Karen, eneo bunge la Lang'ata jijini Nairobi. Mradi huo unaotekelezwa kwa ushirikiano kati ya parokia ya Regina ya kanisa Katoliki na hazina ya kitaifa ya ustawi wa maeneo bunge NGCDF unatarajiwa kukamilika ifikapo tarehe 15 mwezi Disemba mwaka huu. Akizungumza wakati wa hafla ya kuweka jiwe la msingi katika shule ya St Mary's, mwalimu mkuu wa shule hiyo Mildred Mwalo aliwahimiza wahisani kusaidia katika ununuzi wa madawati pindi ujenzi wa madarasa hayo utakapokamilika.
Hafla ya kuweka jiwe la msingi wa madarasa manne ya wanafunzi wa gredi ya 9 katika shule ya jumuishi ya St Mary's iliyoko Karen katika eneo bunge la Lang'ata ni hatua muhimu katika kuimarisha miundombinu kabla ya kuwapokea wanafunzi hao wa gredi ya 9 na kuhakikisha wana mazingira mazuri ya kusoma.
By 2025 we will have classes, 4 of them for our grade 9 as they proceed to the next level of education. Thank you so much to the ministry. Thank you to the church as our sponsors for having come through for us.
Akipongeza serikali kwa msaada huo uliotolewa kupitia hazina ya ustawi wa maeneo CDF, mwalimu mkuu wa shule hiyo Mildred Omwalo alisema licha ya changamoto ya uhaba wa madarasa kwa wanafunzi chini ya mtaala mpya wa CBC, pia wanakabiliwa na changamoto ya ukosefu wa fedha za kununulia madawati.
So we are planning as a school to see if we can source, and anybody coming through from the Mheshimiwa to the governor to all well wishers, we wish and we pray that you give us the lockers and the desks that will be used by the learners as they proceed.
Kasisi John Githinji wa parokia ya Kanisa Katoliki la Regina Kaeli alisema mradi huo utahakikisha wanafunzi wanakuwa na mazingira mazuri ya masomo.
We are very happy to work together with the school as the church to support them, to be with them, because we believe that when we work together, the learners are able to get information and to become better students even in future all of our country.
Wazazi pia walihimizwa na mwenyekiti wa bodi ya usimamizi wa shule hiyo Louis Okodoi kushiriki katika miradi ya maendeleo ya shule hiyo, kwani hiyo itapunguza mzigo wa kifedha ambao umetokana na mahitaji ya mtaala mpya wa masomo.
And we call upon parents to support the schools. It is not easy, by the way, pulling through this just a school alone. We need a lot of support also from well-wishers, at least to enable the learners to have a conducive learning environment.
Na mtazamaji, mbunge wa Mbeere Kaskazini Geoffrey Ruko ametoa wito wa kufanyia mabadiliko uongozi wa kamati za bunge la kitaifa, akidai kuwa nyingi zao zimetepetea kazini. Akiongea katika shule ya Gikuyari, kanisa la Jeshi la Wokovu ambako alikabidhi pesa za kufadhili maendeleo, Ruko alimtaka kiongozi wa wengi katika bunge la kitaifa Kimani Ichung'wah kuhakikisha uongozi wa kamati za bunge unafanyiwa mabadiliko ili kuwezesha kamati hizo kuwahudumia Wakenya ipasavyo kuambatana na manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza.
We have sanitized the presidency. We sanitize the security of our country. We must sanitize the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. We must sanitize the National Assembly, the committees of Parliament, the leader of majority jameni, the committees of Parliament azikai vizuri. Before we go to recess in December, Kimani Ichung'wah na wale viongozi wengine katika bunge ya kitaifa, the committees of Parliament, we need to reconstitute those committees so that we can be able to align the leadership of committees of the National Assembly so that they can be able to deliver the mandate of the National Assembly to the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Tukiachana na hayo mtazamaji, wanaharakati wa kukabiliana na athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi hapa nchini wanaonya kuwa huenda nchi hii ikapoteza kati ya 3 na 5 ya pato jumla la kitaifa kufikia mwaka 2050 ikiwa hatua hazitachukuliwa kukabiliana na athari zinazotokana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Wakiongea jijini Nairobi kwenye mkutano wa kutathmini hatua zilizopigwa katika utekelezaji wa maazimio ya mkutano kuhusu mabadiliko ya tabia nchi barani Afrika iliyoandaliwa mwaka jana jijini Nairobi almaarufu The Nairobi Declaration, wanaharakati hao walitoa wito wa utekelezaji kikamilifu wa maazimio hayo ili kukabiliana na athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi na kubuni nafasi za ajira katika uhifadhi wa mazingira. Mkutano huo pia utangazia changamoto na fursa zinazopatikana katika kustahimili athari hizo na pia mifumo ya chakula, fedha, kawi, viwanda na mali asili kama vile gesi na mafuta.
The droughts that happen every 10 years, we've understood that now the cycles are shorter. It's every 3 years. And that in actual sense simply means that the impacts of climate change are really real and felt at the community level. The SCS at one provides us with an opportunity, to contextualize the declaration in Kenya circumstance.
This is just a trigger that will make the momentum be sustained, because we did raise our hands as Kenya and as Africa, and we said we can offer solutions. We do need to be able to keep the momentum by making sure that we're not just talking about these issues, but we're actually implementing. And so it's exciting to see the amount of work that has been done, and also to hear what else needs to be done for us to be able to make tangible progress.
We have integrated green skills in our curricula, not only just bring the issue of maybe renewable energies like solar and all that, but in every course in our institutions, we have integrated green concepts so that whatever competence a student wants to engage in, he understands his environment and how his competence and how his job interacts with the environment.
Mtazamaji, kamati inayoshughulikia masuala ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi imewasilisha rufaa ya kujumuisha swala la anuai miongoni mwa watu walio na ulemavu katika midahalo kuhusu mabadiliko ya hali ya anga wakati wa warsha iliyoandaliwa kabla ya kongamano la mataifa kuhusu mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Kutoa uhamasisho kuhusu kongamano hilo jijini Nairobi, iliangaziwa kuwa jamii asili pamoja na watu walio na ulemavu wanastahili kushirikishwa kama mojawapo ya mpango pana shawishi kuhusu mfumo wa sheria na kanuni katika viwango vyote unaolenga kuimarisha mikakati ya kukabiliana na athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi.
We are looking forward to bringing one voice when it comes to inclusivity. We know the COP is around the corner and we are looking forward. What kind of conversation are we going to take to the COP?
We have had indigenous communities being pushed out of their natural habitat, like they are told that they move out of the forest or areas where they live in because of the fact that they are no longer taking good care of those spaces. Some of these communities need to play a very key role when it comes to the discussion on climate change because they are the most affected.
Sisi ni watu ambao tumehifadhi msitu muda mrefu na tungali tuna huo moyo. Japo saa hizi mlima wetu umeingiliwa, ni watu kutoka sehemu mbalimbali.
We take into consideration these uniquenesses. Like for instance, we can't have a similar intervention for persons with disability as compared to other, able-bodied populations.
Mtazamaji, katibu katika Wizara ya Usalama wa Taifa Daktari Raymond Omolo amewaagiza machifu kuhakikisha kuwa lengo la kitaifa la kupanda miti milioni 100 kila mwaka linatekelezwa kikamilifu. Akizungumza wakati wa uzinduzi wa kampeni ya hamasisho kuhusu mabadiliko ya hali ya anga katika kinamasi cha Ondiri, kaunti ya Kiambu, Daktari Omolo alisema hatua hiyo ni sehemu ya kampeni ya kuongeza utandu wa misitu humu nchini kutoka 12% hadi 30%.
Machifu wote 3950 humo nchini wametakiwa kuwa kwenye mstari wa mbele katika juhudi kabambe za kufanikisha upanzi wa miti milioni 100 katika kipindi cha mwaka mmoja. Akiongea wakati uzinduzi wa shughuli hiyo, Omolo alisema kila chifu atahamasisha jamii katika eneo lake na kupanga shughuli za upanzi wa takriban miche 250 ya miti siku ya Ijumaa ya kwanza ya kila mwezi.
Chiefs are going to be the agents, they are going to be the champions in helping us coordinate this climate action to ensure that by the year 2032 we achieve that ambitious target.
Kwingineko, gavana wa kaunti ya Kakamega Fernandes Baraza amepuzilia mbali tuhuma ya baadhi ya viongozi wa chama cha ODM wanaopinga juhudi zake za kufungua afisi zaidi za tawi la chama hicho katika eneo hilo.
Hivi tena ndogo ya kusema ati ofisi itafunguliwa, my friend, we are very focused kufungua ofisi na kuendelea kujisajili wanachama wa ODM because ODM is the majority party.
Wakati huo wakazi wa vijiji vine katika kaunti ndogo ya Tana Delta wanaishi kwa hofu ya njaa, michipuko wa magonjwa, huku kukiwa na madai kwamba maji ya bahari yamefurika na kuingia kwenye mito ya eneo hilo.
Zamani maji mzuri, lakini sasa imeharibika. Na mimi ni kizere. Nina wajukuu, watoto wangu yote meolewa. Wale wajukuu nikimwambia nichoteni maji, watachota hii ya mkondo. Kuoga mimi, kupikia siwezi. Nataka chai, siwezi kupikia. Shida tulionayo ni kizere ni hii. Huku nakuna usiku silali kabisa.
Na katika kaunti ya Isiolo, huduma za kuhifadhi maiti katika hospitali ya matibabu maalum ya Isiolo zimerejea tena baada ya makafani hiyo kufungwa kwa miezi kadhaa kwa ukarabati wa mashini za kuhifadhi maiti zilizokuwa na hitilafu.
This part of it is called duct. This was not there. That's why the machine was not really working. It was not making any difference.
Hiyo mochari tumeitengeneza. Kuanzia leo kwenda mbele inaanza kupeana huduma yenye inahitajika pale.
Kwingineko, chama cha watu walio na matatizo ya kuona nchini Kenya kwa mashirikiano na shirika la watu walio na matatizo ya kuona barani Afrika kimezindua kampeni inayolenga kusambaza fimbo nyeupe 100,000 nchini katika kipindi cha miaka mitatu.
We are calling on African governments to ensure the availability of the white cane to blind and partially sighted people in Africa.
Hatimaye kanisa la Kianglikana la Kenya ACK Diocese ya Malindi imezindua hazina ya maendeleo ya kijamii ili kukuza ujuzi wa kifedha miongoni mwa waumini wa kanisa hilo na kushughulikia masuala ya usimamizi wa mazingira baina ya binadamu na wanyamapori.
Hili ni jambo ambalo mradi huu umekuja ili kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba mambo ya handouts yameondoka na mtu anaweza kujitawala economically.
Na mtazamaji, katika makala yetu ya Ifahamu China tunaangazia sekta ya pamba katika mkoa wa Xinjiang Uyghur ambao umeboreshwa kwa kesi hivi karibuni, huko biashara zikizalisha bidhaa mbalimbali zenye thamani kupitia teknolojia za kisasa na kuharakisha uzalishaji wa haraka wa bidhaa zisizoharibu mazingira. Tazama.
Xinjiang ambako zaidi ya 90% ya pamba ya China inazalishwa imekuwa ikijitahidi kuboresha mnyororo wake wa tasnia ya pamba kutoka kwenye kilimo pekee hadi uchakataji zaidi, ikiwemo kuchakata nguo na kutengeneza bidhaa zenye thamani ya juu. Katika wilaya ya uhuru ya Baiyinglong ya Mongolia, mafanikio makubwa yamefanyika katika eneo la maendeleo ya kiuchumi na kiteknolojia huko Korla, ambapo biashara za pamba zimeanza kuzingatia uchakataji zaidi badala ya kutengeneza nyuzi pekee.
Tunaona tasnia ya nguo na mavazi ikiendelea kukua, ikiendelea kujenga nafasi zaidi za ajira.
Ili kupunguza uchafuzi wa mazingira na matumizi ya nishati, kampuni ya uchakataji wa rangi zinaendesha mipango ya kutibu maji na kutumia rangi zisizo na chumvi. Mwaka jana wilaya ya uhuru ya Baiyinglong ilizalisha tani milioni 1.14 za pamba na sasa inahifadhi kampuni 112 za nguo.
Na makala hiyo ya Ifahamu China ndiyo inatukamilishia Kurunzi Mashinani adhuhuri hii ya leo, lakini nakusihi usiende mbali, tunarejea na kipindi cha Tamrini ambapo tutakuwa na mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja. Lucy Maura amenisaidia kupeperusha taarifa hizi kwa lugha ya ishara. Usibanduke.
Nini? Kwani nini? Kama wewe hujui nini mimi nitajuaje? Ni wewe umekuja nacho, niambie ni kitu gani?
Nini? Nikipoteza chochote chumbani mwangu, nisiulize wale ambao naishi na wao.
Oh, kati ya wale unaishi nao, uko na siri ndio wa kwanza. Hivyo viatu na nguo tunavaa na wewe.
Sikiza nikupe ushauri mdogo. Baada ya kuvuta bangi, hakikisha umekunywa maziwa. Sawa? Toka. Kuna nini hapa?
Pala.
We are tired of this one major problems after another. If you don't have solution, don't raise problems, okay?
Solution to what, Warrior? What are the solution without a problem?
I don't know. What are they?
No problem, of course.
Come in. He has just said that he comes from Nairobi, Kenya. And then how is he a Jamaican again?
Okay, maybe he's an Jamaican who is visiting Kenya.
Ninakwambia leo, leo tunaenda kutengeneza pesa kutengeneza.
Na tugawane hiyo pesa pia. Tunakuaga na tabia ya kunitoka pesa kila wakati wewe.
Lasta. Utaijua hizi haso zetu zinakuwa na expenses.
Are you now saying that we are girls? Including you? Of course. God power all the way.
Omera, opportunity comes one Nyathiwa. I, Topilas Atito, will be running for MCA of Sawati 1.
Siku zinasonga sambamba na matukio yanavyojiri.
Kuyajua hayo, mbali na hamasa zilizopo kwengineko, shirika la utangazaji KBC limejitolea kuhakikisha ubora wa matangazo yasiyo na chuku.
Darubini huangazia mengi ya kusini na kaskazini, mashariki na magharibi, na kukuwasilishia kwa njia stahiki.
Ufasaha, usawa, uketo, pasipo kuegemea upande wowote.
Iwapo hutakishaka kwa unachoarifiwa, Darubini itakidhi mahitaji yako.
Jina langu ni Nancy Onyancha.
Na mimi ni Harith Salim.
Jina langu ni Gladys Mungai.
Mimi ni Ahmed Jumabalo.
Nami ni Sarafina Robi.
KBC, angazo la Wakenya.
Hapo kwa crime scene walitaja jina yako.
Ati? Unafaa kuwa jela wewe.
Mama ananiambia jina lakini
mimi hisi yangu indanganye.
ambaye hisi yako Mama Jane ifanye uchunguzi vizuri kabisa.
Omba msamaha usamehewe.
Hebu unataka kumongeza ujinga?
Sasa hizo ndo zote zimekusaidia na nini Jackie?
Amjei pata uchi for orchestrator hii plan mzima.
Huyu ni mtu anatujua. Na najua ile siku tunambeba pesa.
Yaani huyu kijana amenizoea.
Ile najaribu kuangalia kila kitu na angle zote.
Keep change.
Alex. Kelele ya nini? Ona, mbona nataka nikwambie.
Hivyo ndio uliamua utakacheza.
Samahani. Nasikia mtaja tu Zito. Kwani nani wako?
Zito mimi ni mpenzi wangu.
Kwanza una uhakika ni Zito asio wewe ambaye unamwongea? Yule aitwa nani? Bibi yake aitwa Shamsa.
Sina hela, sina kazi, sina chochote.
Kwa nini namtuma Zito aje niwe mimi? Ukumbuke uko nyumbani kwangu, sawa? Na sikujui hunijui. Naomba ujiheshimu. Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Dakta mtazamaji, karibu tena kwa awamu ya pili ya kipindi cha Tamrini, na shukrani za dhati kwa kuzidi kuitegea runinga ya KBC. Kumbuka mtazamaji, unaweza fuatilia pia kipindi hiki moja kwa moja kwenye mtandao wetu wa kijamii. Kurasa wa Facebook ni @KBC Channel 1, kule mtandao wa X ni @KBC Channel 1, na kwangu ni @Khalid Abdullahi. Na mtazamaji, katika dakika chache ambazo zinakuja tutakuwa tunalidadafua kwa kina swala nzima la matatizo ya afya ya kiakili. Nini hasa inasababisha. Kumbuka mtazamaji, tumeona kuwa hivi majuzi familia nzima zinavunjika, watu wengi wanajitoa uhai kuhusiana na swala hili la matatizo ya afya kiakili, wengi wakionekana kuwa hawatambui ni nini hasa inaleta ama ni nini hasa huwa inasababisha matatizo ya afya ya kiakili. Kumbuka mtazamaji, wewe pia unaweza sema nasi kupitia mtandao wetu wa kijamii na kunisaidia kudadafua swala hili ama swala la matatizo ya afya ya kiakili. Ni Masi Mwende ambaye ni afisa mkuu wa shughuli ya Thaila ama ukipenda kwa lugha ya kimombo ni psychotherapy. Karibu sana kwenye studio zetu.
Asante.
Kwanza nataka umfahamishe mtazamaji anayekutazama sasa hivi, Thalia hujihusisha na nini ama psychotherapy inajihusisha na nini?
Asante kwa kutukaribisha hapa siku hii ya leo. Thalia Psychotherapy ni kampuni ambayo inajihusisha na mambo ya afya ya kiakili. Tukizingatia sana ili tunasema kukinga ni bora kuliko kutibu. Manake kutibu iko na mambo mengi, fedha, na pia kama nchi hatuna huo uwezo wa kuweza kutibu watu wote ambao wanapatikana na haya magonjwa ya afya ya kiakili. Kwa hiyo pale Thalia Psychotherapy tunahimiza sana kuweza kufanyiwa uchunguzi, ile tunasema kama screening na mapema, ili ukijulikana ukiwa na haya matatizo mwanzoni, ni unaweza kutibiwa haraka na bila kutumia hela nyingi na bila kutumia muda mwingi ama mrefu kuweza kupata matibabu. Hayo ndio mambo ambayo sisi kama Thalia Psychotherapy tunajihusisha nayo sana.
Naam, wengi wamesikia ama wanaitambua swala nzima la matatizo ya kiakili ama matatizo ya afya ya kiakili. Je, matatizo ya kiakili ni nini na inatokea aje?
Matatizo ya kiakili ni ile hali ya ukosefu wa kuweza kuishi jinsi unavyostahili kuishi kama binadamu. Manake kuna changamoto ambazo unaweza kuzipata. Lakini ukiwa hizo changamoto zinakuzidi wewe kama binadamu, inamaanisha hauwezi kuwa kama wewe ni mwanafunzi hautaweza kusoma vizuri pale shuleni. Kama wewe ni mzazi hautaweza kuwajibika kuwa mzazi bora. Hautakuwa rafiki bora, hautakuwa jirani mwema. Manake hizo changamoto za afya ya kiakili zimekuzidi kabisa. Kwa hivyo hauwezi kuweza kuishi kama jinsi inavyostahili. Kwa hivyo wakati unapokuwa na hayo mambo yamekuzidi, tunasema uko na afya ya kiakili. Kwa sababu sasa labda umeingia kwenye hizo depression ama umeanza kufanya vitu kama kunywa vileo zaidi. Unajua hauwezi kuelewana na wenzako vizuri. Makasiriko, unajua vitu kama hizo zimekusomba kabisa. Kwa hivyo tunasema uko na afya ya kiakili na unastahili kuenda kupata matibabu haraka iwezekanavyo.
Umetaja tu baadhi za dalili ambazo kwa kweli huwa zinaonyesha kuwa huenda ukawa na matatizo ya kiakili. Lakini nini hasa inachochea ndio mtu anaweza sema kwa kweli nimekuwa na matatizo ya afya ya kiakili?
Kuchochea ni mambo mengi tunaweza tukasema. Inaweza kuwa sijui tunaweza kuitaja na Kiswahili, lakini mambo kama genetics inaweza kachochea. Mazingira yale ambayo unaishi pia inaweza ikachochea. Na maisha ya ulezi pia inaweza ikachochea. Manake tunaangalia tukiona kama wakati huu ile tunaita connection parenting, jinsi tunavyolea watoto wetu, kunakuwa hiyo hatuna hiyo uhusiano mwema kuconnect vizuri na watoto wetu, rafiki zetu na wengine wetu. Hiyo inaweza kuchochea, manake unajipata kama umetengwa ama ni kama haujafunzwa jinsi, kama mzazi kwa mfano unapolea mtoto wako na haujaweza kumfunza jinsi atakavyokuwa akijadiliana na mambo atakayomkumba. Akiendelea kuwa mkubwa, unafaa kumfunza atakuwa anahusiana vipi na watoto wengine wakienda kucheza. Wasipofunzwa hayo mambo, wanaanza sasa kuwa na ile hawajui ile tunaita problem solving skills. Hawawezi kufanya hayo mambo. So kuna hizo changamoto na unakuwa nazo. Wazazi wengine nao wanalea watoto wao na waita maneno mjinga nini, vitu kama hivyo zinakuwa na wao wakikuwa hawana ile self esteem. Kwa hivyo hawawezi kuweza kuishi vizuri kama wengine jinsi inavyostahili. Zinaanza kidogo kidogo, alafu zinakuwa, alafu pia environment na pia mambo mengi. Inaweza kuwa labda leo ulikuwa na kazi nzuri, kesho umepoteza kazi, hauwezi kujimudu, hauwezi kulipa kodi ya pale, hauwezi mnunulia familia yako chakula, hata wewe mwenyewe labda hauwezi kujimudu kimaisha.
Hayo yote itakuwa inakuathiri.
Itakuathiri na akili yako utakuwa umelemewa kabisa. Na kama hujapata mtu wa kuweza kukusaidia, itamaanisha utaweza kuenda chini kabisa na utakuwa hauwezi kusaidika. Na kama ni kusaidika, itakuchukua muda mrefu ndio uweze kutoka katika hayo mazingira ambayo umeweza kujipata.
Kuna swala ambalo umeongelea kuhusiana na mazingira ambayo umejipata, na hivi sasa tumeona kuwa vijana wengi ile ambayo unapata wako katika mitandao ya kijamii tofauti, yani ile tunasema social media pressure. Mtu anaonekana anajifungia pahali kivyake, ama anataka kujiweka katika maisha ambayo haiko, na baadaye inaonekana kuwa amelazimika kuwa na matatizo ya afya ya kiakili. Jambo hili unalisemaje, ama ushawahi kumbana nayo na watu ambao kama hilo, na je, umewasaidia vipi?
Jambo hili lipo aswa kwa vijana ambao wenye umri ambao wamaliza shule na wale ambao wako katika college zetu. Kuna ile tunaita kama peer pressure ambayo kweli imeweza kuwazonga kiasi. Manake wanaangalia, wanatazama, wanaona labda Halid anafanya kazi pale KBC, wanasema uko na pesa mingi sana, anataka kuishi maisha kama yake. Wanashinda wamekufuata katika mtandao, unafanya nini, unavaa nini, unakula wapi, vitu kama hizo. Ilhali hao wenyewe hawajaweza kuangalia maisha yao iko vipi.
Wanataka kujaribu kujifananisha tu.
Ndio tunasema inafaa kuwa ndio uweze usijipate katika hao vijana. Sisi tunawaeleza ni kwamba ni vizuri kuweza kukubali maisha yako jinsi yalivyo. Na ambao tunasema ukuwe na simplicity, usijaribu kujiweka katika kiwango ambacho hauwezi ukaweza kufikia. Maana kujiweka katika hicho kiwango, utakuwa unajaribu kila kitu. Hata wengine hata nasikia wanakula mpaka pesa yao ya shule ili waweze kufurahisha marafiki zao. Unajua sasa hawasomi. Wazazi wanadhani mtoto anasoma, kumbe ilhali asomi. Ameshatumia school fees yote, ameenda kumfurahisha marafiki zake na mambo ambayo hayastahili. Kwa hivyo tunawahimiza, ni vizuri kuweza kuishi kadri ya uwezo wao na wasiweze kuenda beyond their means.
Nataka tu ugusie tu aina mbalimbali za matatizo ya afya ya kiakili, lakini kuna swala mbili huwa linarudiwa tukiongelea swala nzima la matatizo ya kiakili, swala la depression ama unyongovu, na pia msongo wa mawazo ama anxiety. Tofauti ni gani?
Kuna tofauti moja. Depression ni ile haikuji mara moja, inakuja baada ya muda, inaanza polepole. Manake ukishaanza kuwa, tuseme ulikuwa unafanya kazi yako vizuri na haukuweza kujitengea labda pesa za kutumia, tuseme ukikosa kazi. Kwa hivyo sasa tuseme mfano umepoteza kazi yako pale, umefika pale nyumbani, hauwezi kuzungumzia hilo jambo, unajifungia, unakataa kukubali. Ukikataa kukubali ya kwamba haya ndio maisha ambayo niko nayo, utaanza kujiweka kama umejiweka kando na unaona maisha haifai. Unaanza kufikiria siwezi kuendelea bila hili ama lile. Na inaweza kuwa kitu chochote, inaweza kuwa hata ni uhusiano, labda ulikuwa kwa uhusiano ambao si mzuri na umekataa kukubali ya kwamba naweza nikawachilia hii uhusiano na bado niendelee kuishi maisha yangu vizuri. Unakataa. So unakaa katika hiyo state ya bado huyu ni rafiki yangu na siwezi nikamwacha, nitaendelea, yeye atakuwa tu wangu hata kama ameniwacha. Umejiweka katika hiyo hali. So katika hiyo hali hausongi mbele, hausongi nyuma, uko tu pale. Na siku zinasonga. Hizi siku zinavyosonga ndio sasa hiyo mambo ya depression inaanza kuingia katika maisha yako. Maana umekataa kukubali ya kwamba hapa ndipo nipo na hizi ndio vitu zinanifanyikia. So hiyo ndio depression. in simple terms. Anxiety nayo ni ile kila mtu anakuwa na anxiety. Hata mimi nilipokuwa naambiwa nakuja hapa na ile nashtuka, sijui itakuwa aje, sijaikuwa kwenye studio kama hii, matani mengi, so kuna ile racing of heart. Lakini sasa unajiambia anxiety si mbaya, lakini ikikuwa extreme ndio inakuwa ndio mbaya. Kwa hivyo unajifundisha tu kujifundisha kudhibiti, kama simple exercise, kama kupumua vizuri, kutulia, staying calm, alafu inapita. Kwa sababu anxiety ni kitu itakuwa continuous. Hata kama wewe sema unaenda interview, itakuwa wewe ndio mkurugenzi mkuu wa KBC, haujui itakuwa vipi yale maswali. Kwa hivyo utakuwa very anxious na itakuwa hivyo. Lakini sasa ni feeling tu itakuja, alafu itapita.
Naam. Swala la hiyo anxiety ama msongo wa mawazo na hiyo depression, nafikiri huwa linachangiwa sana na mtindo wa maisha ya mtu, ama ukipenda lifestyle. Je, mtindo ya maisha ya mtu inaweza changia vipi kuleta matatizo ya afya ya kiakili, na pia inasaidia vipi kumaliza matatizo ya afya ya kiakili?
Labda nianzie kwa kumaliza. Inamaliza ukichagua lifestyle ambayo itaweza kukufaidi. Tuseme kwa mfano kila siku utakuwa unafanya mambo ambayo yataweza kukufanya wewe uwe mtu bora kiakili, kimwili, na kila kitu. Tuseme nitakuwa nafanya exercise for example kila siku, nitakuwa naenda ndio niweze kuwa na misuli mizuri, nitakuwa nasoma. Hiyo ni lifestyle ambayo umechagua, ambayo itaweza kukusaidia. Maanake tunasema ukiwa na akili nzuri, afya yako pia itakuwa nzuri. Maanake zote zinaenda pamoja. Kwa sababu tunasema wale ambao wanaenda kutafuta matibabu, mmoja kati ya watu 4 ambao wanaenda kutafuta matibabu hospitalini, mmoja wao akona afya ya kiakili inamsumbua, lakini hajui. Yeye ameenda pale hospitalini akisema nimeumwa na mgongo kwa miezi 2 ama siku 3, lakini hajui kama pia anaweza kuwa na afya ya kiakili. Kwa sababu tunasema ile lifestyle unachagua pia itakuweza kukuboresha hata wewe pia uweze kuwa na akili yako itakuwa bora zaidi. Ukichagua nao ile ambayo ile lifestyle ambayo si nzuri, nayo itakupeleka pale. Maanake for example tumeona vijana wengi, na hata si vijana, hata watu wengine pia wameweza kuingilia huu mtindo, tuseme wameambiwa kuwa watu wa kunywa vileo. Wanakunywa vileo, wanasema nataka kujifundisha leo ni kunywa moja, lakini unapata ameweza kunywa moja, ameongeza ingine, inakuwa tabia. Hiyo ni lifestyle ambayo ameweza kuchagua. Na hata akikosa hata pesa za kununua vileo ambavyo ni bora zaidi, atatia bidii hata achukue zile ambazo si bora zaidi. Tumeona hata nchi yetu wamejaribu sana kupigana na hii mambo ya hizi vileo ambazo zinatengenezwa kwa njia ambayo si bora. Manake watu wameshafikia hicho kiwango. Hata lifestyle nyingine ambayo unaweza kuchagua hata ni zile vitu ambazo hata unakula nini, hizo pia zinaweza zikakuletea hayo magonjwa. Kwa hivyo lifestyle inaweza kuwa positive, inaweza kuwa pia negative. So inategemea ni gani ambayo wewe mwenyewe unaweza kuchagua.
Umesema kuwa mtu huwa anajitenga, akionekana anajitenga kando, hata ikionekana na watu. Na swala kama hilo likitokea katika familia kwa kweli watakuwa wanajiuliza kunani, nini kunaendelea. Je, unahisi familia inaweza ingilia vipi kusaidia ama kutatua ama kumsaidia mtu huyu ambaye kwa kweli anaonekana kuwa na hizo dalili za matatizo ya kiakili?
Familia ina jukumu kubwa zaidi kuweza kuangalia na kusaidia watu ambao wanajipata katika haya matatizo. Na ndio tulikuwa nimeanzia mwanzo tukisema shida ambazo tuko nazo ni ulezi. Manake familia nyingi pia hawashughuliki sana na Khalid anafanya nini. Bora wamejua anaenda kazi pale, wanajua ameenda kazi yako sawa. Hawafuatilii kujua hako sawa kivipi. Hawana hayo mazungumzo. So kama familia wanafaa kuwa wanazungumzia haya mambo. Wanakaa, wanamuuliza habari yako Khalid, umeshindaje? Afya yako iko namna gani? Mawazo yako vipi? Mtu akikuuliza mambo kama hayo, utafikiria na uweza hata kumuelezea, nimekuwa nikifikiria sana kuhusu hili jambo na naona ni kama hili linanilemea. Tumetuja kuona kwa muda tumekuwa na gatherings za familia, haujakuja. Kunani labda kama wewe unataka kudanganya tusema ni kazi imekuwa mingi, hata labda haujakuwa kazini labda, lakini manake hawataki kufuatilia zaidi, watasema ni sawa. Lakini kama wamekujua kuanzia kitambo, hata ukiwa kazini utawaeleza, waambie sitaweza kuhudhuria manake niko kazini, lakini nikitoka nitajaribu kupitia na niwajulie. Kwa hiyo familia inafaa kukua inazingatia na kuwa na hayo mazungumzo. Tunasema wanafaa kuwa nazungumza kama familia na hawaulizi tu hii kwa kimombo tunasema superficial conversation. Inafaa kuwa mazungumzo ambayo kweli ni ya kina zaidi. Tunajua ukoje na tunaulizia vizuri, utuelezee kazi namna gani, marafiki zako, wewe je, afya yako. Ukiuliza maswali kama hayo, hata wewe kama Khalid utakaa hivi useme kweli anataka kujua afya yangu. Kama kweli anataka kujua, nitamuelezea kwa sababu ako na muda wa kusikiza. Maana watu wengi hawana muda wa kusikiza. Kwa hiyo sababu unaona hawana hiyo masaa, manake wakati wa kusikiza pia ndio hakuna. Ndio unaona hata tukitembea haraka hata leo kutoka kwa nyumba yako, jirani yako uamuza tu habari, hautaki kusikia mbaya, unatumaini tu atasema mzuri. Akisema mbaya utafanya nini? Manake hauko tayari kusikiza. Unatarajia tu useme mzuri. Ama wengine hata hawasalimi majirani zao, wanatoka tu wakienda. Manake hawana huo muda wa kusikiza. Kwa hiyo familia wanafaa kuwa na huo muda wa kusikiliza na kukuwa na huo muda time genuine, waweze kusikiza na waweze wasikie, hata waangalie zile vitu ambazo hausemi. Manake tukizungumza na wewe kuna zile vitu hautakuwa unasema, lakini manake nakujua nitaweza kuona. Hii tabia haijakuwa bora sana.
Naam, watu wengi wanaonekana kuwa hawafahamu swala hili la matatizo ya kiakili. Wanaona tu baada ya kuwakumba kwa miaka mingi ndo wanaifahamu. Je, unahisi kuna umuhimu wa kufanya uhamasisho katika jamii, uhamasisho katika maeneo tofauti, na sisi kama jamii ama sisi kama taifa tunafaa kufanya lini ama tunafaa kufanya nini ili kuhamasisha watu na kuwaelimisha kuhusiana na swala hili la matatizo ya afya kiakili?
Jambo la kwanza ni kuzungumzia haya mambo katika mikutano yote, iwe ni shuleni, makanisani, kazini, kila mahali. Hiyo ni jambo la kuzungumzia na kusikiliza watu wanasema vipi. Na pale kwenye mahospitali zetu tunafaa kuwa tunasema sasa kila mmoja wetu ambaye anakwenda pale kupata matibabu, jambo lenye anafaa angaliwe ni afya ya kiakili. Ile tunasema screening. Ukienda pale hospitali utasema tunataka kujua akili yako iko aje, tuangalie pressure, tuangalie heart iko namna inapiga vipi. Mbona hawasemi tuangalie pia na akili yako iko vipi? Manake tukiweza kuzukua na hayo mazungumzo, itakuwa ni kitu ya kila siku. Haitakuwa ni kama ni unastuka ukiambiwa kaza leo hali nikwambia nataka tuangalie screening yako ya akili, utafanya nini?
Ni sikitu hujazoea.
Utaniambia mimi si wazimu, lakini hatusemi wewe ni wazimu. Tunasema tu tufanye prevention. So screening, kila mtu, hata wenye wote wako kwenye hii studio tuambie tutaka tufanye screening, pangeni line. Kuna wale watasema hapana mimi sitaki. Kwa nini? Manake hiyo si kitu wenye wamezoea, lakini tukifanya ikuwe ni kama jambo la kawaida. Lakini nikwambia leo kuja tupime pressure, watakuwa wanasema nataka kujua pressure yangu iko aje. Unajua wao watakuwa wanastuka sana, watasema nataka kujua pressure, nataka kujua kilo, na kilo zangu kama ni mingi sana nataka uniambie nitafanya nini. Lakini tukiwaambia akili tutaona kuna vile
amerudi nyuma kidogo.
Atasema hapana, ameona mimi nakaa ni kama nimechizi, lakini sio hivyo. So hiyo ndio uhamasisho ile afai kuzungumzia hayo mambo. Hata tukienda shuleni tunafanya screening regular, manake afya ya kiakili hubadilika. Leo niko sawa, manake labda sina mimi si mgonjwa, niko na kazi, naweza kukula. Kesho nikiambiwa niko na cancer, the first thing akili yangu itaanza kuniambia sasa nitakufa, pesa zangu nitaachia, na akili yangu itaanza already lakini kama already nilikuwa nishajitayarisha kuanzia kitambo, sitastuka. Nitakuwa naangalia sasa jinsi venye nitaanza tumia matibabu vizuri ili niweze kupona. Lakini manake hatujaweza kuzungumzia mambo ya afya kiakili. Hata wengi ambao kwenye hospitalini wako na a lot of afya kiakili na wasumbua zaidi kuliko hata ule ugonjwa mkuu wenye uko pale unamsumbua.
Shida ni wengi hawafahamu.
Wafahamu. So tufanye regular screening. So wenye watu wanatutazama leo tunasema enda pale kwenye hospitali, ukiangaliwa pressure mwambie na pia akili yangu nataka uniangalie. Hata hao madaktari pia watastuka sema ala pia unataka tukuangalia akili. Na wataweza kukuangalia na wakwambia naona uko stress levels zako ziko sawa, uko vizuri, ile kitu unaendelea kufanya endelea kufanya. Wakiona zimeenda juu kidogo wakwambia enda ongea pale na therapist aweze kukusaidia jinsi ya kurudi katika the normal level.
Na Mlikizonga anasema muda umetupa kisogo, nataka nikupatie sekunde 30 tu. Mkenya ambaye anakutazama sasa hivi ungemsihi nini? Wasia wako ni upi? Ya kufungia tu. Sekunde 30.
Ningependa kuwaambia Wakenya wote ambao wanatazama siku hii ya leo ya kwamba tuende tutafute, seek for help. Enda pale katika hospitali zetu utaweza kuangaliwa afya yako ya kiakili iko namna gani, na kubali kusaidika. Ukipata matatizo yako yamefikia kiwango hiki, usikatae usaidizi. Ni bora kujikinga kuliko kujipata kwenye matatizo. Na tuzungumzia haya mambo ya msongo wa mawazo ili sikue ni mambo ya kusikia tu. Wewe kuwa na hiyo bidii ya kutaka kujua msongo wa mawazo ni nini, na uende pale, na ukiona mwenzako pia amelemewa uweze kumsaidia.
Naam, shukrani sana. Mtazamaji, huyo alikuwa Masi Mwende ambaye ni afisa mkuu wa shughuli za Thaila kwa lugha ya Kimombo ni psychotherapy, akitusaidia tu kudadafa swala nzima la matatizo ya kiakili na suluhu ni ipi, akisema kuwa ni bora kujikinga na pia ufanye jitihada ya kwenda kujua hali yako kuhusiana na swala nzima la matatizo ya kiakili. Mtazamaji, kufikia hapo sina budi ila kulikunja jambi la kipindi cha Tamrini. Nasema shukrani sana kwa wale wote waliofanikisha kipindi hii. Shukrani za dhati zikiendea kwako wewe mtazamaji kwa muda wako. Lucy Maura amenisaidia kupeperusha taarifa hizi kwa lugha ya ishara. Mimi ni Khalid Abdullahi. Kwa heri.
Bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hand. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
What's wrong with you? Are you crazy, Carolina? Why did you follow me?
What's wrong with you? Now I finally know where you got the money I found.
Amparo? What's the matter? What's the matter? What is it? Rosa! Rosa!
But what's wrong? What happened to her?
We don't know, son.
Look here. If anything happens to Mom, it'll be your fault, Isabel. Do you understand? If anything happens to her,
It's quite hard for me to believe what you're saying. I don't know. There's probably some mistake.
Isabel?
Wildlands.
Hello, kids. Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Are you ready for fun?
Huh?
We have an amazing package just for you. Akili. Ubongo.
Ubongo kids. Ubongo kids.
Big minds.
Southeast Confucian. I am who I am.
travelers,
I can travel to wherever I want.
robocars, and engine.
No more pollution, you know what I mean.
Oh, those little geniuses.
The Children's Corner, Saturday mornings this holiday season only on KBC.
That's right!
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Uliletewa na mtu. Hiyo mtu ni nani alikuletea hiyo makali kukata? Hiyo kali kukatakatwa?
Ni wewe. Kama mimi na ngoja customer alete gari watengeneze. Na sisi hapana watu ya kuharibu.
Ndio nakuuliza unakuia nani mkali? Sasa si hiyo kali tulikuwa tunauza nini? 1.2.
Uko shua? Sasa na ulikuwa umekataa, ulikuwa na.
Anasema wanausanga.
Ilikuwa 150.
Kama sijui kuendesha gari, driving natoa wapi?
Unajua.
Sijui kuendesha gari my friend. Kitu ambaye najua kuendesha zaidi ni basikili.
Ukiona huyo nywele hapo nao lakini akili.
Na wewe sasa hauna nywele, kwa hivyo hauna akili.
Wewe mwenyewe hauna nywele.
Kwa hivyo hana akili.
Hauna akili hata wewe.
Everybody needs Jesus, no matter their social status and no matter the image they portray.
I started hearing, I was going through this depressive season, and I started hearing voices that were oppressing me, very dark voices, telling me to do dark things. This life chose me. So I didn't choose God, He chose me. He left the 99 for the one, just like Jesus says. I saw this very white, blinding lights engulf my room, engulf my space, and it was so bright that I could not look into it.
So no matter the economic status, all of us at the end of the day, we need God, and God is the equalizer.
Take over.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Lunchtime News. My name is Jackie Wimbiro. Sign language interpreter is Brian Muraro. Well, this afternoon we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up, and you can interact with us on our social media handle at KBC Channel 1. Now, to kick us off, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called on Slovenian companies to capitalize on Kenya's manufacturing and processing sectors, especially within the export processing zones, and special economic zones. Speaking during a meeting with Slovenian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign and European Affairs, Tanja Fajon, Mudavadi highlighted Kenya's robust ICT infrastructure as another attractive avenue for investment. Mudavadi also sought Slovenia's support for President William Ruto's global agenda on climate action, biodiversity conservation and green growth. The two countries shared concerns about climate change and reaffirmed their commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and building resilience.
I am pleased to note that there is a great interest by the Slovenian private sector to invest in Kenya. Both sides have committed to enhancing linkages between their private sectors to create mutually beneficial partnerships and businesses.
We will work hand in hand when it comes to our common challenges for both countries, and also through the Security Council, where you mentioned. I really want to thank sincerely to Kenya for big support to our candidacy in the Security Council of United Nations, and I commend the very important strategic role Kenya is playing for the stability in the Horn of Africa and in your region.
Well, now the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is probing 39 directors and deputy directors of various departments in the Busia County government over allegations of employment based on ethnicity and favoritism. EACC has also directed the directors to furnish the commission with their education credentials. The hiring of the directors has raised eyebrows among the locals, with the Bukayo North Ward MCA Gadi Jakan tabling a motion at the County Assembly requesting a probe into the recruitment process.
Nashukuru watu wa EACC kwamba wamechukua nafasi ya kuweza kuita wale ambao wanahusika, wale ambao waliajiriwa, na nataka niwaombe pia ya kwamba isiwe tu wale ambao wamepewa nafasi. Tunataka wale ambao walihusika katika kufanikisha uajiri. County Public Service Board, County Public Management, Department of County Public Management ya Busia waweze kuitwa.
And now on to health matters. Kakamega Governor Fernandes Barasa has refuted claims of negligence and medics absenteeism at the Kakamega General Hospital raised by Senator Boni Khalwale, stating that the doctors are diligently performing their duties. The governor was addressing an incident in which 2 women are reported to have died during childbirth at the Kakamega General Hospital. The governor also took issue with Senator Khalwale for claiming that the county received 18.5 billion shillings for the 2024-2025 financial year.
Kama senator, telling the truth ya kwamba we have a challenge on the division of revenue allocation for 2024-2025. And that is why you are going for mediation next week. Juzi amekuwa katika hospitali yetu ya level 5 kule Kakamega, anaambia watu tuko na cases ambazo mama wetu wamepoteza maisha wakienda kujifungua because of negligence ya madaktari. I want to tell Senator Khalwale ya kwamba mambo ya CGH, we don't have a challenge na consultants. Madaktari wetu wako kazini. Wale mama ambao walipoteza maisha, it was just by bad luck.
Still on health matters, Kenya has made significant steps in the diagnosis and management of cancer in the recent years. Kenya Association of Hematology and Oncologists, led by the National Cancer Institute Chief Executive Officer Dr. Elias Mele, say that the capacity to diagnose cancer has improved significantly even at the grassroots level, with cancer centers now available in various regions across the country. The association plans to hold a cancer awareness and outreach screening event on 19th of November 2024, which will promote free cancer screenings and health education to residents of Kisumu.
As we speak right now, we have an oncology benefits package that at least is a beginner in addressing the cost of cancer care in general.
We used to have many patients going to India and other countries looking for cancer care in terms of diagnostic, like PET CT scan. As Dr. Meli mentioned, we now have a PET CT scan in the country. We have 2 of them. We have at the Kenyatta University Teaching Referral Hospital, and another one at, 3 of them, and the other one is the Aga Khan University Hospital and the Nairobi West Hospital. So these are great leaps we are doing in our country.
In Kisumu, on the 19th, we will be vaccinating girls from the age of 9 to 14, free of charge. And again, this is backed by information that 1 dose is just as adequate as getting 3 doses, which is what we are targeting for. Again, on the 19th, we are going to be talking to both men and women, because our leading cancers in Kenya is breast cancer and cervical cancer in women. In men, it is prostate and colorectal cancer.
The National Assembly will this afternoon resume the third part of the third session after a 2-week work recess. Top of the agenda are the Universities Amendment Bill 2023 that seeks to improve governance and administration of universities. The House is also expected to consider the Higher Education Loans Board Amendment Bill 2022, which seeks to improve access to higher education financing, as well as the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022, which seeks to strengthen the regulatory framework for political parties in Kenya. National Assembly proceeded on a 2-week recess on the 22nd of October after consideration of the nomination of Professor Kithure Kindiki to fill the Deputy President position on Friday of 18th October. Now, on to education matters. Kenya National Examination Council has assured the country of a credible Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. According to NEC Chief Executive Officer David Njegere, exam officials mandated to man the ongoing examinations are under strict instructions to curtail any malpractice in the administration of the exams. These and more stories in the KCSE Roundup.
Speaking during the distribution of KCSE exam papers in Murang'a East Murang'a County, NEC boss David Njegere asked invigilators, supervisors and center managers to follow laid-down regulations that will hold the integrity of the national exams. Among the rules set out by the council is to have all mobile phones kept away from examination centers.
Yesterday we had 2 cases of attempted impersonation, and thanks to the MAT agency team, the 2 culprits were one in Nairobi and another one in Kilifi. So we are vigilant across the country. So anyone who is planning to engage in any malpractice, they can rest assured that we are going to move in and apprehend them.
However, in Homa Bay County, 8 individuals, including center manager and teachers, were apprehended by police while duplicating a chemistry paper with the intent to aid exam cheating at Palamasongo Secondary School. The incident was reported by Homa Bay Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner Emmanuel Kiplagat.
They were found photocopying the papers, and exhibits have been taken. All the eight persons are in custody here at Homa Bay, and investigation is going on.
Meanwhile, in Webuye, Bungoma County, security officials urged exams officials and students to stick to regulations to ensure smooth flow of the examination process.
The center managers, I'm telling them that they follow the NEC guidelines so that everything goes on smoothly without any hitch.
Giverson Minor, Lunchtime News.
The family of a 17-year-old teenager who died on the eve of the start of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination is yet to come to terms with the loss of their kin. Nicholas Kairithia from Tigania West, Meru County, who was expected to sit for the Form 4 examination, died on Sunday due to liver complications.
Za kumsaidia katika umri wa kufanya mtihani hizo papai za kusaidia liver kidogo, but ikawa too late. Sasa yeye hayuko. Alikuwa na ndoto electrical engineering. Alisema hata kama sitapita kwa sababu sijasoma, naweza enda technical institutions.
Sasa mwezi wa 11 Saturday alishinda vizuri, kufika masaa ya saa 11 kijana wangu akaniacha.
Still on health matters, Trans Nzoia County government has received a major boost in the provision of healthcare services following a donation of medical equipment worth 100 million shillings from a German-based pharmaceutical company. Speaking while receiving the medical equipment, Governor George Natembeya said the equipment will enhance provision of quality healthcare services and increase access to treatment of specialized services such as dialysis. Additionally, the governor says medical staff will undergo specialized training to ensure effective utilization of the machines.
Tukaweza kununua vitanda 10 na viti, alafu kuna ile inaitwa water treatment plant ambayo sehemu hii hakuna nyingine, na ile mixer pia katika pande hii ya Kenya pande pia ipo. Hospitali zingine zitakuwa zinakuja kutumia hii mixer yetu. Kwa jumla hizi equipment ambazo tumepata leo zimegharimu karibu pesa taslimu shilingi milioni 100. Ile ambayo sisi kama kaunti hata hatungeweza, si ndio? Kwa hivyo ningependa kuchukua nafasi hii kumshukuru Timothy na marafiki zake kwa kuitikia mwito wetu na kubali kusaidia kaunti ya Trans Nzoia.
Mbeere North Member of Parliament Jeffrey Ruku has called for a purge on departmental committees' leadership at the National Assembly, claiming their performance is below average. Speaking at Esegi, Kuyari and Sianyi Comprehensive Schools when he handed over a development check, the lawmaker at the same time called on the leader of majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, to ensure the necessary changes are made in the committee leadership to enable the delivery of services to the electorate as per Kenya Kwanza's manifesto.
We have sanitized the presidency. We sanitize the security of our country. We must sanitize the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. We must sanitize the National Assembly, the committees of Parliament, the leader of majority Jameni, the committees of Parliament azikai vizuri. Before we go to recess in December, Kimani Ichung'wah na wale viongozi wengine katika bunge ya kitaifa, the committees of Parliament, we need to reconstitute those committees so that we can be able to align the leadership of committees of the National Assembly so that they can be able to deliver the mandate of the National Assembly to the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Now, teachers in Teso North and South say schools along the border are facing a management crisis as a result of high population of students. According to the teachers, lack of birth certificates has seen many of them miss out on NEMIS registration and consequently miss out on government capitation. Teso South Member of Parliament Mary Emasi acknowledged the problem among schools mobile registration services over these long holidays to enable children obtain birth certificates before the new academic calendar of 2025.
Tuko na shida na birth certificates za hawa watoto. Shule iko na wanafunzi 700, lakini wale ambao wameregister kwa sababu ya birth certificate ni 200. Serikali inatuma pesa za watoto 200. Tunapata shida kutumia hizi 200 kushughulikia hawa watoto wote.
Shule nyingi hapa unapata watoto labda ni 400 kwa shule. Lakini labda 200 peke yake ndio wako na birth certificate. Na ndio sasa unajua mtoto hawezi pata NEMIS namba kama ana birth certificate. Sasa hiyo shule haipati ile pesa inaitwa capitation. pesa ya development, pesa ya kulipa watchman wa shule, pesa ya kulipa wale wapishi. Naenda kuchukua hiyo mambo serious mwenyewe, nitaenda kwa ministry. Nitaenda kudemand wacha tupewe ofisa hata kama ni mmoja kwa ofisi ya registration of births, aletwa hapa atusaidie.
From Education Matters, several informal settlements in Uasin Gishu County have been earmarked for major infrastructure upgrading costing 1.3 billion Kenya shillings through the Kenya Informal Settlements Improvement Project, KCIP, the second now the project, which is being implemented by the national government in collaboration with the county government, with funding from the World Bank, the Agents for Encourage Development, and a grant from the European Union targets to transform the lives of people living in the slums.
Of roads to bitumen standards. And this project has created employment opportunities for the youth. As you can see, they have already done the base, and there are drainages that are going on both sides of the road. There will also be walkways also on both sides of the road.
Nimeona huu mradi ulipoanza, mradi wa World Bank, imeboost kazi yangu. Ninaona hata sales zimeincrease, hawa wafanyikazi wanakuja kukula.
Farmers in Kirinyaga County are reaping from irrigation projects initiated by the county government. The projects have enabled thousands of households engage in subsistence farming, thus increasing agricultural productivity, reducing food insecurity, and uplifting the living standards of families in the rural areas. The availability of water has enabled farmers to cultivate their crops even during the dry seasons, unlike before when they relied on rain-fed agriculture. With the completion of the project, farmers are now assured of a bumper harvest throughout the year.
Zamani watu walikuwa wanangojea tu mvua ya kulima, lakini kwa siku hizi mtu analima wakati ya jua. Kama hii nyanya unaona ilipandwa wakati ya jua, na saa hii unaona ni kukomaa inakomaa. Imesaidia hata mayouths na wamama wenye walikuwa wana idle kwa barabara, na vijana wengine wanakaa tu town kukula miraa, wamerudi kwa mashamba juu ya hii maji.
This is just one of the impacts and the results of a well-coordinated plan by Her Excellency to make sure that our people benefit. We have around 80 projects that are ongoing, almost at completion. We have over 70% of them complete and benefiting to a similar effect as you can witness today.
Early childhood development education schools in Migori County have received 6,000 chairs and 300 tables from a non-profit organization in partnership with the local authorities' Provident Fund. Speaking during the handover of the learning materials in Migori Town, the County Executive Committee member for Education, Rahab Robi, said the county is planning further support, including a school feeding program and construction of separate latrines for ECD learners.
We are going to distribute these seats and these tables in all the sub-counties. For the tables have been given by the county government. The seats that have been given by LAP Fund, we are going to give 3 schools per sub-county, and each school will get 50 seats. And we believe this will go a long way in making learning comfortable for our young children.
We know that it happened last year where we distributed so many chairs and tables to our schools, and this time we know that we're also distributing more, and we are looking forward to more partnership. We want our students, our pupils in those lower classes to achieve the best and lay a good foundation for them.
And now on business news making headlines this afternoon. A project under the Nairobi Regeneration and Urban Renewal Program that will see the construction of 100,000 new housing units in existing old public housing estates under the County Comprehensive Urban Renewal Program is 50% complete. The mixed-use development housing project in Ngara, being developed by Jabavu Village Limited in Ngara, Nairobi County, is expected to offer key social amenities. Now, in other news, micro-insurance underwriters have been urged to leverage smartphone penetration and technology to drive uptake of micro-insurance products. Speaking during the launch of Turaco Micro-Insurance, Deputy Director, Universal Service Fund, Paul Keage, said flexible payment options allowing customers to pay premiums in small, manageable amounts directly from their mobile wallets has lowered the point of entry for a majority of Kenyans who are likely not to be covered, like smallholder farmers.
Kenya boasts 40 million mobile money subscribers and a penetration rate of 77.3%, according to the latest data from the Communication Authority of Kenya.
To successfully leverage mobile money for insurance, we must also focus on building trust and raising awareness. Many individuals are still unsure about insurance and may not fully understand its benefits.
Despite the flexible and versatile nature, microfinance penetration remains low in Kenya.
And basically why we wanted to get this microinsurance is that we wanted people who will increase availability of those services to as many people as possible, distribute it cheaply and with a quick turnaround.
Experts say adoption of mobile money services provide a unique platform to reach the marginalized and underserved segments of the population.
We are driven by the goal of creating an environment that nurtures entrepreneurial endeavors, propels economic growth, and empowers every level of Kenyan society.
Think about a border rider who can now conveniently secure a cover for their motorcycle, a reality that until recently was a mere pipe dream.
Fintech firm Turaco has launched a new product that focuses on, among others, health cover to farmers, including personal accident and last expense microinsurance products to drive growth for its new line of business.
Innovation, we're committed to doing things differently. We use technology in ways that no other insurance company in Kenya does today. We have everything from simple technology to advanced technologies, AI, distributed ledger tech to enable us to pay claims within minutes instead of weeks, months, or longer. That is often the norm for this industry that needs continued development and growth.
Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Wheat farmers in Uasin Gishu County want the government to temporarily stop importation of the grain until all local produce is exhausted. Under a new initiative dubbed Local Wheat Purchase Program, millers benefit from a lower import duty of 10% instead of 35% if they purchase locally produced wheat at an agreed minimum price.
We Kenyan farmers have produced enough wheat and we would like to sell. I mean, why give us a subsidized fertilizer and then there's no market for our produce?
We are undergoing a lot of challenges because the Cereal Millers Association have decided not to buy wheat from Uasin Gishu farmers.
A few of our farmers have complained that the grain quality determination is done at the back, behind bars, rather than openly on the table in front of the farmer. And this is something we are calling on the millers to stop so that the farmer can openly see what he has delivered.
Diani Beach is renowned for its breathtaking scenery and an exhibition of cultural vibrance. Among the many tourist attractions in Diani is the unique and natural formation of a rock in the Indian Ocean with the actual shape of the map of Africa. This natural formation offers visitors a unique bird-eye view. Now, this afternoon on Magical Scenes, we highlight the wonders of Diani.
The first thing that strikes you as you approach Diani Beach along the Indian Ocean on the map of Africa is the stunning view. The formation, visible from a distance, resembles the outline of the African continent, with its distinct features accentuated by the landscape surrounding it. Situated along the Congo beach, the lush foliage, swaying palm trees, and the azure waters of the Indian Ocean creates a picturesque backdrop that invites exploration and admiration. The map of Africa is not just a geographical curiosity. It is a symbol of unity and pride of the people of Diani and Kenya at large. Local artisans and cultural groups often gather here, celebrating their heritage through music, dance, and arts. For anyone seeking adventure, the area surrounding the map of Africa offers space to activities. Snorkeling in the coral reefs, kite surfing on the ocean waves, or simply lounging on the soft, white sands are just a few of the ways to soak in the beauty of this coastal paradise.
So you still can actually get the feel of a beach, the feel of a coastal area with tamed temperature, meaning that now that it's a rainy season, it still is raining, but at the same time the weather is really nice and friendly.
Local conservation efforts have also played a crucial role in preserving this natural wonder. Community-led initiatives aim to protect the environment, ensuring that the map of Africa and its surroundings remain a sanctuary for both wildlife and visitors alike. This commitment to sustainability resonates deeply with travelers who seek to leave a positive impact in the places they visit. Mchuma Odim, Magical Scenes in the county of Kwale.
Well, thank you so much, Irene Muchuma Odim, for that report. We shall now be taking a short commercial break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Karibuni. Hii ndio base ya the best local entertainment.
Sitakubali ukalie kiti cha umiliki katika kampuni ya mume wangu.
Tell me where my money is, and I'll make this quick and painless.
You don't know what they do to girls like you.
I think it's a bit unfair. Na kujua vizuri sana. Na jua mdosi wangu vizuri sana. Hauwezi akakuandika kazi.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. Traditional cooking fuels and technologies are among the major contributors to household air pollution in Kenya, with severe health consequences for the population. Now, an initiative to promote climate-friendly cooking in the country is introducing innovative cooking stoves that will use less charcoal and firewood to improve air quality. Here's more in today's episode of Tech One.
At a local market in Nakuru City, Nakuru County, Josephine Abongo is busy attending to customers at her cooking shop. Abongo produces and sells clay-molded energy-saving stoves that she says are a great improvement to the open-fire cooking technology used in most rural homes in Kenya. The project is being implemented by Practical Action, a development-focused non-governmental organization.
I think it's becoming a talk that we are moving the discussion towards ensuring that our local people transit from the traditional cooking solutions to the new cooking solutions that save their lives.
Data from the Ministry of Health estimates that 21,500 premature deaths occur each year as a result of indoor air pollution triggered by cooking.
The use of firewood, as we know, when it burns, that smoke is direct. It's worse than even when you smoke because there is a filter. This is the primary use of the smoke, which has a lot of effect in the lungs.
Unlike traditional stoves, the improved visors are designed so the flame is aimed directly at the cooking pot to avoid wasting heat. They also have just one opening for charcoal and firewood instead of three, and they are constructed with a thick liner made from a special type of clay for heat conservation. All these factors make the stoves up to 40% more efficient, reducing consumption of firewood and charcoal. Practical Action says around 200,000 improved cook stoves have been sold by more than 300 trained entrepreneurs like Abongo. Further, proponents of the technology say the innovation has cut costs for users.
We used to have a full-ton lorry of firewood a term. But the way I've implemented it, I've saved almost 80% of that, which is a plus for us.
Kenya aims to achieve 100% access to clean cooking by 2028, in line with UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Well, we have very good policies, but in terms of funding, then it needs to match the good policies that we have in there.
Alonauko, Tech One.
And now in the sports arena, world marathon record holder Ruth Chepngetich is the only Kenyan athlete who made the cut in the final list of nominees for the 2024 IAAF Athletes of the Year Awards. Chepngetich, who is also the 2024 Chicago Marathon champion, has been nominated in the Women's Out of Stadium Athlete of the Year category, and she will battle it out with Olympic marathon champion Sifan Hassan of the Netherlands. Other Kenyan runners who had been nominated in the initial list but did not make it to the final list include Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon, Olympic marathon bronze medalist Benson Kipruto, Olympic 800 meters champion Emmanuel Wanyonyi, world 10,000 meters record holder Beatrice Chebet, and world 10-kilometer record holder Agnes Ngetich. The winners will be revealed on the 1st of next month during the 2024 World Athletics Award ceremony in Monaco.
This is it. While she is a mom, she forgoed being a cop. She is now going to break the tape of the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon in a time of 2. Can I see it? Are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? 2:09 something. Let's get her here, everybody. We have seen it. 2:09:56. Bring it on, Neil Armstrong. We have another woman that has done something just like you. This is amazing, right here. Amazing. Sub 2:10, everybody. That woman has worked so hard. She's done things in this sport that we have not seen. She did it again today. Unbelievable. Another world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Harry Wilson struck twice in stoppage time to give Fulham a dramatic 2-1 victory over West London rivals Brentford at Craven Cottage. Brentford's Vitaly Janelt had earlier scored a superb opener. Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you so much for choosing Lunchtime News. My name is Jackie Wembiro. Sign language interpreter is Brian Moraro. And before we exit the stage, we shall be leaving you with the segment of My Culture, whereby we travel to Kakamega County to uncover the mysteries and traditions surrounding a natural wonder, the Crying Stone of Ilesi. The towering rock formation is not just a landmark, but a revered site deeply woven around the lives of the Isuka people. Known as the only one of its kind, the Crying Stone has inspired folklore, witnessed countless ceremonies, and drawn tourists and locals alike with its mesmerizing weeping effect. Now we shall be taking that look at that report. Well, enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Nestled within the verdant landscape of Kakamega County, the Crying Stone of Ilesi rises dramatically against the skyline, a silent witness to centuries of tradition and a symbol of authority for the Isuka people. Standing on what will soon be a 5-acre development site, this unique rock formation, believed to have originated from volcanic activity tied to Mount Elgon, resembles a solemn human figure hunched in prayer, cascading water down its face as if shedding tears.
Stone has been in existence for as many years as we cannot be able to tell the exact number. But it is richly cultural in a manner that it symbolizes the authority of the Isuha.
Before volcanicity to occur, we must have a mountain nearby.
So Kakamega, Kisumu, Eldoret, Bungoma, Busia, reaching Uganda, our nearest mountain is Mount Elgon. So we are being told that this force of gravity moved all the way from Mount Elgon, and it was moving in a form of a hot magma, forming this handsome crying stone. Not only this handsome crying stone, we have another beautiful scenery at Kisumu there called Kitimikai. All of these features, and including other stones around within Kakamega, Kisumu, Bungoma, Eldoret, entering Uganda, all of these stones were formed during volcanicity eruption due to force of gravity from Mount Elgon.
Kakamega County Chief Officer acknowledges its status as the world's only crying stone and an enduring symbol of cultural reverence.
We've been able to map and identify it as a cultural site, as a tourism site, as a site that belongs now to the county government of Kakamega.
For generations, the stone has served as a cultural hub. According to local elder Francis Shitiabai, it is here that rituals such as the Luya circumcision and cleansing ceremonies take place.
Walikuwa nakuja hapa crying stone, wanalala, wakilala wanafanyia na hizo vitu kwa masiku kadhaa ile watakuwa wamejiandaa wenyewe. Wakitengeneza zile sherehe za kutahirisha watoto ama za kusababisha kama kule kuna makosa zile kile kitamaduni. Ukitaka kusababishwa unakuja kuombewa ama unakuja kufanyishwa mambo yote ile kama umefanya mabaya.
The stone is a critical site where the elders organize rites of passage, secluded preparations and communal ceremonies, and the big cave with its 3 entrances serves as an isolation place for elders during circumcision periods.
The old men who are going to do the work of circumcision are requested to come and isolate themselves inside here, inside this cave, for 14 days, day and night. While they stay here, the society around here under Abamahaya, they will still organize how the people who are doing the work of circumcision are supposed to get their food. And the people to prepare for them food are old mothers. The circumcision will be taking place kwa boma ya guka mmoja mzee. Ukichukua waguka 10 weke pamoja, mmoja ni mzee ameshinda hao wengine na miaka, na pia he has a clean history. Nikisema clean history najaribu kusema huyu mzee sio patikani kwa vitu za uchawi.
Under the guidance of respected elders, the ceremonies here reflect and reinforce Isuka beliefs and values. Jetin Queen, another elder, recalls learning about the stone from elders who gather women nearby to impart lessons on discipline, family respect and traditional roles within the community. Women often brought girls here, teaching them to value obedience and respect relationships, especially with their male siblings and elders.
Wamama walikuwa wanafundisha wasichana wakae na nia mzuri.
In Isuka law, the stone is much more than a geological formation. It is a once cruel king who, punished by God, was transformed into stone. From the back, the stone exhibits human features including the neck and back and the absence of feet, suggesting the figure's kneeling form as it seeks divine forgiveness.
He was a cruel king who was not taking care of his people in a good way, and so then God was disappointed with him, punishing the Isuka people, turning him into a stone. That's why he remained crying, and that's why it's called the crying stone. With the head, the way my hands are pointing, the neck, the back, with other features found at the back. But it's unfortunately we cannot see the legs because the king is kneeling down, crying, praying, asking for forgiveness from God.
This myth carries a powerful lesson on humility, repentance and justice, traits revered by the community. The crying stone's mystical qualities extend beyond folklore. 2 caves beside the stone serve as site for both spiritual reflection and correction. The smaller cave is a shrine where people come to pray and elders conduct ritual cleansing in cases of taboo or transgression.
It's a cave where people will come and do worshipping. It's a shrine. On top of being a shrine, it's also a correcting center. For example, when something bad has happened in this society, for example, prolonged drought, children from same family having a child. Okay, Isuka people believe that killing is a sin, because the Bible also doesn't encourage killing. So they will encourage both the two, the girl and the boy, mostly the girl, to give birth to the child, and then the child will be taken to that cave where old men and old mothers will be requested to come and do guiding and counseling over there. And something good or something being, I don't know how I can say it, we will not take the child to go and sell the child, or we will not kill the child. The child will be taken to somebody within the Isoha people, Abamahaya mostly. The child will be given to that, the child will be given to that family, and that family will take that child like their child.
In the instance of incest, individuals are disciplined and a symbolic sheep is sacrificed, its hide worn as a cautionary mark. For those seeking fertility, a visit to the larger cave believed to enhance one's chances of conceiving is customary.
You are not able to have a birth, to give a child, they will request you to come and pass inside that cave. And when you believe, you go back at home, you believe you are going to have a child, you are likely to receive a child, to conceive and have a child. It's also a belief in Isoha people.
As Kakamega County sets its sights on transforming the Crying Stones grounds, efforts are underway to draw ecological and cultural tourism to the region. To preserve and elevate this symbol, Kakamega County has ambitious plans underway to revitalize and develop the surrounding area, preserving its ecological integrity while establishing it as a significant cultural and tourism site. In partnership with local stakeholders, the county has acquired lands extending to the river's edge, aiming to maintain the natural water sources that have long contributed to the stone crying effect. The project will see replacement of eucalyptus trees with indigenous varieties to restore the area's water table, ensuring that the stone's tears continue to flow. The county government is in discussions with local elders and stakeholders to relocate a few residents, making room for the sustainable development of this site. The plans include a conference center, lodging and eco-friendly recreational spaces. The Crying Stone is set to become a beacon for both cultural preservation and modern tourism.
It's also a tourist attraction center, which we are going to develop so that it assists our people in the western region and specifically this Isoha.
So inside here, we are at the last cave where people will come and do their praying.
With trained guides ready to offer historical context to visitors, the county is also preparing an association dedicated to the stone's preservation, ensuring that traditional practices such as circumcision preparing ceremonies will continue in their rightful setting while safeguarding its ecological heritage. Jackie Wambiru, My Culture.